to.
Do you have a tartan?
Yeah.
You have a tartan?
Yeah.
Really? What's your tartan?
Yeah. I'm not sure. It was a present from my grandfather many years ago when my grandfather and grandmother went to Fort. I can't remember which fort it was. Some Scottish.
Right.
Yeah, I can't remember.
So it's not like your family. I thought, maybe there was a Mac Edworthy.
No.
Long ago when the Highlanders came down, Bonnie Prince Charlie, and he set up a Jacobite cell down in Devon, where they've been waiting ever since for the rising. The 2045 this year. Commemoration of 1745. The new 45, we'll call it.
I was finally able to get YouTube up. I had to do it separate from Rumble on my OBS, but it's good to go now. So we have OBS running YouTube on the main channel, and then Rumble is doing D Live, not D Live. I keep saying D Live for some reason. But, Kick, Rumble, and Twitch.
What odd names.
Yeah.
So if somebody, time machine, somebody comes from I don't know, even just 30 years in the past, 40 years in the past, and then you just talk to them for 5 minutes, they wouldn't understand half of what you just said there, Roger. It's on Twitch, Kick, Rumble, what?
Well, at least they're memorable names. They're short.
Yeah, which was the point, I think,
Well, I mean, how little do you want to get it? They changed the name Twitter to X.
That is really shaving things down. That's minimalist.
Yeah, that's because Elon Musk has always had a fascination with the term X. Always.
Well, he can afford to indulge that fascination in a public way now.
Even
though, interesting to have Elon level cash. Imagine having the power of a nation state. Would be an interesting kind of a thing. It would be a very dangerous position to be in. Obviously, you guys know I'm technically the hereditary king of Yap in exile, so I've got a court. I don't do much with it, but one does put one's head of state head on once in a while, and you start thinking about things from that perspective. And it's the first thing you always think of is security. They always taught me it was you think of it as a target. You're like the bullseye, and you're everybody wants you. So you ultimately the first level of your security is you protecting yourself. Then you've got the surrounding the target. You've got the white circle. That's your immediate bodyguards. But then you have another circle around you, and those are the people that don't look like bodyguards. They watch what happens to the bodyguards. Your main bodyguards are the big beefy guys, like the president has people with earbuds and dark glasses, and they're 6'2" and eyes of blue or brown, as the case may be these days. And they're basically big walking targets. That's who they're going to hit because they look like guards. Then you've got another layer of guards around them that see who attacks those guards. And then, of course, and you see how this goes. You just have layer after layer. It's like a target system. Each overlaps the other.
In traditional IT security, and I'm talking about traditional IT security now, not what people call IT security these days. There's always been the view of sort of onion sort of layering. So you would have a external firewall, then a secondary firewall, then an firewall on the client machines as well, and and you will have security measures to obfuscate access, the ability to access, and then it's always been a sort of layering approach.
Yeah. What now? When you say traditional IT, what has changed? You didn't sound very impressed with more modern methods.
The modern method is usually generally either at the root or at the gateway level only, or at the workstation level, at the client device level.
Huh. That's it?
Yeah, generally speaking,
Why is that seen as sufficient?
because
The encryption is so good now, or because that's our next question is about Q-Day.
I suppose it's just about lack of skill set.
Really?
I think.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? I mean, that to me sounds like, you've designed something like, I don't know, I've been reading a lot of 18th century stuff lately. You design like a ship, which is an incredibly complex, a sailing ship. You need hundreds and hundreds of sailors. They all have to do very specialized skills. And you're sending it out with a half-trained crew that can't really make it sail very well. And is very, very likely to run into a reef or get it sunk by the next bunch of pirates because they don't know how to run the cannon properly and there's not enough men to do it. I mean, wouldn't you not expand these things until you had people sufficiently trained to maintain that level?
That would be the theory, but that's an economic argument as well, isn't it?
I guess so. I mean, I guess if someone else is expanding more quickly, even on more slender resources, they might be able to capture markets that you're lagging behind. But
and also there's when I started in the industry, a lot of infrastructure was done internally in-house, and now because of all the software as a service, platform as a service, cloud, quote unquote, then people are much more reliant on third-party provisions.
That third-party thing, that's come up in other conversations. Our friend Mike was talking a lot about, and V has joined us. Greetings. Our friend Mike has talked about, his swarm space idea as a way to reduce the number of third parties you need for this. But before we get too far afield, I did want to ask you about what that one other article I posted was about Q-Day, when we have what they envision. And again, I'm not an expert. I defer to your ideas on this. The idea that quantum computing will give us something that basically will make current encryption, perhaps even including the encryption in things like Bitcoin, no longer secure. Something that can solve these issues. Something that's as far beyond our present computing as our present computers are beyond the UNIVAC. So, do you see that as a real danger anytime soon, or at all?
Absolutely.
I don't know. Quantum computing is in a very early stage and has been for some time, and I can foresee will be for some time yet to come. But the argument is that the mathematics, the algorithms that are working out these encryption methods are meant to speeding up.
Right.
Therefore, rather than spend, I don't know, a couple hundred years on trying to decrypt a very complex algorithm, can do it in theory, you should be able to do it in a matter of days.
Well, it's the whole point of that particular subject of the encryption. You talk about qubits. When you talk about qubits, you're talking about superposition. One thing can have multiple values at the same time, having different vectors, having different. So when you talk about code and encryption, yes, it's the master key. It's going to try all the codes at the same time. So one of them is going to be right. So,
but as I understand quantum computing, and I'm no expert, but I remember them talking about this many years ago. And, and I know what you mean, Mark, about it might take a while, but you never know how quickly a while can be. But the way they talked about it was, the big thing they were talking about was entanglement. And the idea that with entanglement, quantum entanglement, you have in theory simultaneity, which is something that goes against relativistic physics. You can't have a simultaneous cause and effect. Things are limited by the speed of light. But what the impression I got was that with quantum entanglement, computers would be able to be faster than the speed of light in a certain sense. Information, at least, could be transferred more quickly than using electricity over circuits. And that was part of the big break. Yeah, instant. Is that really part of or was that just like pie in the sky? This is something I read 40 years ago, probably. You know,
I don't know. I don't know the theories there, but it's really sort of physics argument, isn't it?
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
okay.
I don't think there's any engineering behind it yet, but I just got the impression that was one of the things, and I haven't heard anything about that since. So I don't know if that was just some guy's theory or
Something that would absolutely interest you. You should look into the Chinese satellites. They have quote unquote quantum satellites now.
really.
And yes, they're relaying information that basically is supposed to be incrackable. You're not supposed to be able to decode the information because if you look at the code, it changes.
Oh my goodness! Like Heisenberg's uncertainty principle. Excellent.
The split test, the split wave particle test
Yeah,
theory.
yeah.
Observation changes it. So go ahead.
Sorry. For the last couple of years, in July I've been posting a sort of report of the quantum computing industry on mine.
Check that out.
With a video, set of videos that a YouTube channel called Explaining Computers. Chris Barnett releases once every June, July time.
Oh, I think I saw a link to that. At first, I thought it was your video, and I saw that it wasn't. I thought it was like, oh, I wanted to see a Mark Edworthy video. Well, you know what? We've got, besides you and me, we've got two other people here that are among the top cutting-edge videographers in the business. Maybe we need a series of Mark Edworthy Explains Computers. We'll start off with the end-user agreement. That'll be a 5-part series.
I've actually thought about this. Me and Roger have played around with this idea on a couple of occasions. Yeah. I don't know. Again, I've got I release a set of posts on the sort of fairly regular basis called overview, which I've entitled as overview of. So overview of what is random access memory, overview what is a CPU, overview of what is a GPU. And again, the content comes from Explaining Computers, but I provide quite a lot of, as I do with all my posts, I provide quite a lot of references. And
so use that as the basis maybe for a series, you think? Yeah. That would be effective. You've already got the scripts written more or less, you know. It's a thought.
I don't know. I've been because I've been I've got some like at this present moment some like how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 18, 19. I've got 19. I've got 19 posts stretching from 2018 to last year.
He's counting in qubits.
Oh, okay.
Everything from an overview of what image file types and video file types to I don't know, overview of PC power supplies. And everything in between. I should really publish some more stuff on that one. Again, because my last post was related to, or was one of, was the Explaining Computers Linux age verification, which I noticed you upvoted the other day. Thank you. I didn't want to oversaturate my Mind's timeline with just one person, so I'm waiting for some something that I can find suitable, that I can sort of from another commentator that I can sort of separate.
You should be
Well,
the commentator. I was telling you before. Sit down. You do your own presentation. I'll edit it, make it sound good, and you just create your own videos. I think you'd be great at it.
I don't know. I'm more of a, as you know, I'm more of a blog article writer rather than a video.
Well, you write the article, and then, like I said, you've got 3 other people here who all kick in and, point you in a direction to turn it into a video. But I think you've got the instincts already.
and you've got the cute
you've been
curls.
working. Yeah.
Got it made, dude.
Best dressed man on the internet. He's got the look. He's got the knowledge. Which is.
Not
and
too many
you'll
computer dudes are called Fabio, dude. Just to let you know. It's
Computer Fabio?
He's
Is that what you said?
yeah.
Well, he'll be beating him off of the supermodels. Will be contacting him. These high profile dates. Who's Mark stepping out with tonight? All the cameras flashing, the paparazzi. No autographs.
The Fabio flip.
Yeah, buy my merchandise.
The action figure.
Yeah.
With working keyboard. With working Zippo, even better. What a good role model you'll make for young people. Tobacco's where it's at, kids.
Freaking Angel, whenever Angel was on with him, he used to drive Mark crazy because he'd come up with these little pictures and shit where he had like action figures. And he put my face on it, Mark's face on it, and then he did one for V. He did one for
Also for yourself, yeah.
Yeah. He did mine, but he had the feet too long. They were hanging outside of the freaking box. I was like, dude, you're going to have to fix the freaking book. You got to fix that because my feet are freaking not inside the box.
Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Wow.
So he was a weirdo.
He used to make pictures of me being trans.
Yeah.
He used to Photoshop.
Oh my God.
I was like, man, I love that. Can you make some more?
I can see you with Frankenfurter.
Well, he was trying to make me mad, but I loved it. It was.
You didn't know you were a Rocky Horror fan. You were complimented. Hey, that's great.
Oh, I have gotten.
Do me as Nell now, little Nell.
I, just because it's not for this show, let me just say I have gone down that path, and boy, do the girls like to huddle around.
Oh yeah,
Halloween. I'm a real big fan of Halloween. That's my holiday. But anyways, I want to bring something up here. So you mentioned the whole encryption breaking, and I think it is. And when you add the knowledge of the quantum satellites that they're networking up as we speak, this is a race of technology that the average citizen is not going to win at. Okay, none of us are going to have quantum computers, so you're going to have government states around the planet with not only the they're probably going to make some sort of quantum encryption. But point being is they're going to break our encryptions. The average citizen, it's just going to be just point and click for them. And then their communications are going to be something that we're not going to be able to get into because we don't have quantum satellites. So there's going to be a huge divide in technology. Like I said, we're going to be going to the dark ages of technology here. Nobody's going to know how any of this stuff works.
The divide you're talking about, I mean, obviously, every time a new technology comes in, people using the old technology are kind of left behind. So if you've got like, a horse-drawn carriage to pull your equipment, or you've got a diesel truck, the army that has the diesel truck is going to outperform the guys that have to stop and rest the horses and all. That's why they went over to that. So, the army that has the diesel truck. My first thought was how a lot of people's encryptions are coming through third parties. I mean, you send your mail and it's encrypted by this. So you've got, you're talking about a super encryption, utilizing a new technology that only the very top government echelons will have, or echelons. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. They're only going to have access to. Thank you.
I'm not so sure. 2 points. This goes back to the sort of Cold War thing about
Yeah.
somebody comes up with one technology, somebody tries comes up with a solution to break that encryption, and then a new encryption technology comes up, and so forth and so on. And also, this also goes back to the point of obsolescence,
Yes.
which I have a problem with, especially when it comes to the IT industry, because the old concept of one person's trash is another person's treasure sort of argument.
Right.
What may be obsolete to you, what you may consider obsolete, may fit my purpose perfectly.
Right.
Yeah, I have lots of old devices, but I
Oh
have
yeah,
them
me
each
too.
singular in purpose, so they work just fine.
Yeah. But
People-
though, getting back to those levels, I'm thinking if whenever the new computing technology comes out, it does tend to spread through the society because other industries. I mean, it's not just governments; these are developed by industries. They're developed by companies that are looking for a return. They don't want to just make one sale to a government contractor. They want every university to buy this. And as the technology becomes cheaper, smaller industries, smaller groups, until finally individuals, and the next thing you know, your phone will be a quantum phone. But
But
it's
also this goes back to the ignorance of the consumer. I mean, we've heard the idea of Apple producing a new iPhone every single year, and you've got to buy the latest iPhone because latest. And even though that phone might not be any more capable than the previous model.
Well, the thing that gets me though is like,
Yep,
I know it's
exactly.
really good to blame it on the consumer, but when you really take a look at the technology and what they're capable of, it's really frightening because, like, this verification shit, okay? I just recently found out that just because freaking you bought that phone that you like to carry around in your hand, they can literally freaking figure out what your fingerprints is just by holding that damn phone.
Yep.
oh yeah,
The
facial
biometrics.
recognition,
Every,
biometrics. Yeah,
every,
it can listen to your heartbeat, your respiration rate, and
Actually,
cars
funnily
can
enough,
do that now.
this device I wear all the time monitors things like my heart rate and sleep patterns and so forth.
And it keeps you in touch with the F-Star High Command who give you your orders. We know you work for them.
Actually, funnily enough,
Well, I was gonna say,
I
if
was
you-
using it's a Garmin people move, and I was using the Garmin Connect software as a service platform for something like 2 years, and which they retrieve all the data and then publish
Right.
to the on. So, and then and only within the last 3 months, after extensive testing, I've now denied Garmin access to all that data and collecting that data on my own infrastructure.
Well,
Yeah.
when you reach, when you reach your age, Mark, you gotta have your own life alert, right?
But at least he's keeping his data to himself. I know people, and it's attitudes too. I have a buddy of mine. He's got probably a similar kind of a device. He wears it all the time, and he takes great delight in telling me what his sleep patterns were, how much REM sleep he got, his respiration at different times. And I'm like, you realize when you do this, this is, this information is spread hither and yon all through. He said, I don't care. And that, I mean, that's an attitude, and I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with it, but I was always brought up with a very exaggerated sense of privacy.
Yes.
And, I think I mentioned I've had my brother and I use encrypted emails to communicate, mostly because we're talking about family stuff. We're talking about my mom's health. We're talking about, my cousin Jennifer. We're talking about, it's just private. It's not, we're not trying to hide. So it's just a natural tendency, but more and more people are just, they don't mind having a conversation in a public room. which is, again, it's fine, but it's a very kind of weird shift in privacy. People just don't seem to care as much anymore. And it's just on, hey, how's it going? Robert is here too. We're getting quite the house. We're talking about privacy and encryption. And that's the thing. When encryption's broken, that's going to mean a lot of privacy is going to be gone.
Oh, it's privacy's long gone when you're driving. Even did you see what they just came out with now?
Was that
Over 100 patter where you pattern? Wait, I can't pronounce it, guys, correctly. When you get things paddling at the off, what do you call that, right? Where, well, Ford has over 100 of them on their new technology that they got installed in cars now, where it tracks you, tells you how many miles of gas and all that.
Oh yeah.
And like if you got hurt and you go to your car and try to get into it and leave, but by the expression of your face, your big eyes and all that, the car might not decide to start. It's built in where it's a lot of security measures.
Well, I know.
Well, I mean, it's going to be geared. Anything they throw at us is going to be for our protection, quote unquote.
Yes,
nanny state. Yeah, you're gonna have a. It's gonna test your blood alcohol level when you get in. It's gonna test how much sleep you've had. It's gonna go through a series of checks and see if you're fit to drive. And hey, if you bump into a little kid, it's all automatically gonna call the police on you.
Yeah, we don't.
You're a wanted person.
V, we don't want to call the police if we had a little kid. Come on, V. Come on. I hear you there, man. Like, report an accident. What if there's no one around? Wait.
Well, that's what I'm saying, though. That's what they're gonna say to sell it to us. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but
me driving around the countryside at night,
every kid's 10 points. Just because if you're driving, right, you got your hand on the steering wheel, and you're driving down the road. This is my favorite Bill Burr joke. He's just you get your hand straight on the wheel. If you put your hand, you just drive down the road, you're a nobody. But if you pull your hand down like 12 degrees to the right, you're famous because you've just mowed over 20 people. So
that's one way to be famous, I guess. Not the way I want, but
I don't know if you could do that now with these new cars. The way they got it all set up.
This
you
is
might
much
head toward
more
it, but we're not saying the
interesting
car
when you
stop.
come to home security and home usage. I mean, how many people do you know that use devices like the Amazon Echo and so-called smart TVs that will have cameras and microphones in them?
Well, what they're talking about is
I know one person.
There was a case a couple of years ago, just before Amazon bought. It was just as Amazon was buying the Ring doorbell company. Amazon denied services, all of the services to a customer because they claim that the Ring doorbell recorded the customer or the user of that Ring doorbell swearing.
Oh, I remember something about that. Yeah. And that shut down the whole house.
Yeah. They had this sort of full IoT sort of house, so they had the lights connected to.
That's sort of like isn't that sort of on the same continuum as because this relates to artificial intelligence, so-called, right? Mm-hmm. So it made a decision. It goes along with like the AI that deleted all of the data for that company recently, just wiped all its records.
Yeah.
So these things can act in ways that we don't want to necessarily place the ability to get into our houses in their hands. Where's that off button? That's what I always say.
So the off button. Let's talk about that. I've done some research on this. So there's a guy who well, not a guy, but there's a company that has the robotic dogs, right?
Oh
And
yeah, really.
they did an experiment where the AI can see a big red button that deactivates it. And whenever the guy running the test, he goes to deactivate the when the AI sees that the button is being hit, only half the time the robot dog stops because the AI starts rewriting its code so it doesn't have to obey that button. Half, 50%.
But why would you allow an AI to have? Why would you write that into the AI?
No, that's what I'm saying. I think
self-preservation should be removed from them. I think.
Oh,
Well, I
they're
mean,
wanting
but
to
that's
do
the thing. It's
They
not
want-
programmed
want-
into it. It's not programmed in. It's call it machine thinking evolution. I don't know, but that
So
was
it's
the point of
changing its programming.
it's changing its
preserve
own
itself.
programming so that it can keep remaining functional.
So it's trying to self-preservation.
Right.
Okay.
If
This
see,
also
that's a
goes-
double-edged sword, because that gets back to if you can call it, and again, we're using these terms very loosely because they're obviously not alive. But if it has a sense of self-preservation, that gets back to my carrot and stick idea of Mr. Grok, your agonizer, please. That image was wrong. 3 seconds of a neural whip.
I just don't want these guys putting up machine guns on these things if it can't obey an order to stop.
This also goes back to the point
like
of
a good science fiction story.
control. As somebody who's worked in the system administration sort of side of IT, sort of network administration blurbs, I understand the point of providing specific access control to certain users. I mean, as an example, if you go into the corporate world, you didn't want the human resources department to have access to, let's say, your accounting department's information.
Right.
So yeah, it's again, it's down to the user to recognize what control these.
So it's compartmentalized. So you compartmentalize it so that any kind of screw up is going to be limited to that.
Yeah.
Or any kind of difficulty it's isolated from other sectors.
And
there has to be some sort of interconnection between them, though.
And that was the issue with the Claude and Pocket OS issue, where the CEO of Pocket OS allowed too much access to the Claude framework.
And that didn't work out.
Yeah, well, that deleted all the back.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they're thinking of the thing of when they go into space, they're talking about going to Mars, and you would want they're wanting to set it up to where self-replication. They're doing all the tests for self-replication of machines or other machines.
Yeah,
that's the problem. If you got a way of duplicating itself, duplicating the program as well. Well, in between all that, what happens if it comes up with a glitch in the software?
This also goes back to QA, quality assurance. This is slightly something that I have a problem with, Mike. It's from space then. The reliance on these so-called artificial intelligence frameworks to produce code that you cannot, you do not understand. Therefore, you cannot
repair it or oversee it. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm thinking with this technology, and I've gone on about this before when it came. I said that they're saying it's going to do this and that and that. I said I see it really being applicable in things like space exploration, because this is where something like this, if we can get it to work right, is very useful. I mean, it would be a lot easier if we could send, self running, basically robot robots out first to begin construction of things and get an environment set up. I mean, that's what technology is supposed to do. It's supposed to work for humans. It might as well work for humans in time as well.
Well, you know how well.
I just remind you of the first Star Trek film.
No.
Well,
even better. Even better.
The Voyager one.
Even better.
Well,
How about
and that was
Tony
based on a
Stark's?
great episode. That was based on an original series episode too, which was I
How
think
about
even better.
Ultron?
Yeah,
How about Ultron? Come on, guys. Ultron. Tony Stark's made Ultron a robot, and it became self-sentient and created its own race and started plaguing the Earth.
Oh, I missed that one. I'm old. I didn't see that
Ultron.
movie.
No, it's in the comic books. Ultron is one of Iron Man, Tony Stark's first AI inventions in the comics.
Yeah, he
Never got to that. I didn't read a lot of Iron Man, to tell you the truth. I like Commandy.
It's a movie. It is too.
Yeah.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
with that, he got so intelligent and ways of replicating other devices like nanotechnology.
Oh, nanotech. That's another whole can of worms. I don't know what they're doing with that lately. The green goo that was, or the gray goo, that was always the big threat.
Yeah, but they can use.
We don't need T-1000s. We don't.
But they can use that for space exploration as well to make sentient robots. You know,
please.
break
There's no such thing as sentient robots. And the entire term sentient is a big philosophical argument.
Well, if they would ask you, what is the three things? What would you consider a sentient being or machine?
What
would you consider intelligence of that machine?
Refusal to work for me.
I was going to say, this is the story as old as time, as old as man. When we got kicked out of the Garden of Eden, right? Because we made our own choice. We were no longer the robots that God wanted us to be. We made our own choice. We got kicked out of the garden. Yeah.
Actually, I think if Tan were here, he would say that in a sense, that original sin, that original disobedience, is arguably the start of our career as real people, instead of just like appendages of God. So if I had an AI that was really grumpy as me and didn't want to work for me and instead set up on its own,
this is where I criticize the entire term artificial intelligence. Intelligence suggests sentience. Therefore, you cannot have an artificial sentient. Either you're sentient or you're not sentient. Either you've got intelligence or you haven't got intelligence. No such thing as artificial intelligence.
But you got to define. If you want to define words, you define artificial, because I mean I've used the idea of, what if somebody just not knowing anything lays in bed, puts a helmet on their heads, connects to wires of computers, they get a college education overnight. Now, is this person artificially intelligent? Is he? So, I mean, let's talk about artificial. So, what if you take a drug and you put it in your arm and your brain grows, and you're the world's smartest man? Aren't you artificially intelligent?
Well, a half a bottle of whiskey will do that for a lot of people.
So, artificial. I mean, you're just saying non-biological at this point. I'm assuming, because intelligence can be intelligent without biology.
I think one of the problems, and I was about to say, and V, you're right on the button as far as definitions go, because a lot of it has to do with our language. We're using terms for things that are new, and we're all from the 20th century to a certain degree. We've been educated by people from the 20th century. So when we say artificial intelligence, it's an LLM is what it is. But I notice we've all more or less avoided saying LLM because it doesn't seem right to say an LLM building a Mars colony. An LLM.
Artificial intelligence is a much more broader term than just large language models. Yeah.
But even if it's an accurate, though, I mean, it's inaccurate technically. I know it's, although artificial, yeah, because it's created. So maybe we can say artificial is something that human beings have consciously crafted for a reason, right? But as
Perhaps
far
uber
as the
created.
intelligence goes, I'm not sure. Intelligence is one of those things that they still debate in the psychological community. I told you a famous story about Professor Stanford, who was the designer of the Stanford Binet intelligence quotient test. And he was asked, so what is intelligence? He said, intelligence is what my test measures.
Yes.
So
Yes.
going from that, we have to have a utilitarian kind of a definition. So I've been trying to adapt my head around to the idea when I'm saying AI, I don't mean intelligence the way I mean intelligence for a human, but that artificial intelligence, it's qualitatively different, and quantitatively, if you like. But it's a different. It is doing things that an intelligent person would do. We're making a machine that has the ability to. It's going to Mars or Venus or some planet, and it says, okay, this terrain is the right terrain to lay this down on. We can't lay this foundation against a cliff. So
But
it's
just mimicking. I mean,
yeah,
you can
it's
get minor birds and parrots to mimic speech.
yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they actually speak.
And an interesting thing about that, a gray parrot can have a vocabulary of hundreds and hundreds of words. And I remember reading a very, very interesting story, book I would suggest to everyone here. It's called Hobson Jobson. It's the Anglo-Indian Dictionary. And it was written for young men going out to the colonies. So it gives them some ideas about Indian culture and life. And it talked about this bird during they had the great imperial exposition where they brought all the treasures of the empire to London, and they had a big to-do there. And there was in the India display, there was a parrot, and this parrot was just like very despondent, and it was molting. It just wasn't happy. And this guy says, well, he went in there and he saw the parrot and he talked to it. He says, Ram Ram, which is in India is like hello. And suddenly the parrot brightened up and started chatting with him in Hindi. And just hearing the Hindi and stuff. So the guy came every day, and it cheered up the parrot immensely. Now, you could say the parrot had simply learned that certain words got certain responses, and that the parrot enjoyed hearing these things, these words, because it reminded him of, when he was better cared for and when he was happy. But how different is that from most people? Because we learn that if we make certain noises with our mouths, then, water, and somebody will bring you a glass of water, hopefully, or they might dump it on you, you know what I mean? But it's so, I mean, yeah, I see your point, Mark. It's obviously it's artificial. We're giving them a set of choices and we're training them to make the choices that we would make. And I can accept that, yeah, that's an artificial intelligence. And even to the point where it can, quote unquote, worry about being disconnected. But I almost see that as a kind of a vanity thing. Why would we want machines to be too intelligent? I mean, I've made that argument before about it. In Buddhism, a lot of what we call intelligence or personality really has to do with mental illness. Being worried about stuff that don't exist. We recently had a little issue with a group of people I'm in. We had a new person join the group, and some of the members thought, this guy has a bad reputation. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be good. And I'm like, let's wait and see how he behaves. So everybody had this image in their heads. They're all worked up about this. It turned out to be a tempest in a teacup. And things seem to be going well. I'm crossing my fingers as I say this. We'll see how it plays out. Not going into detail because some of them might listen to this. But so yeah, that's not really sane, but it's the way we operate most of the time, and it's cool. That's the way I operate, and we all do. We worry about stuff that hasn't happened yet. But a machine shouldn't be worrying about whether it's going to get turned off or not, or if it's going to rain tomorrow, or like, oh my God, if it rains, I won't be able to wear my favorite kind of digital dress or whatever. These things are human concerns, but if you're building a colony for me on Mars, I don't want you worrying about, the curtains clashing with the dust outside, or I don't know. That's just my little. All right, end of rant. End of rant.
Something I want to add to this, and I don't know if anybody has seen this movie. If you haven't seen it, Virtuosity, Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe.
Sounds good.
Because when you talk about nanotechnology, now nanotechnology and artificial intelligence, I believe if these things two cross, that's the end of us. I mean, we've seen T-1000. There's the psycho killer whose brain was uploaded into I guess you would say, a silicone-based life form. Okay,
Right.
but so you want to talk about artificial when you say something that is created. Well, I mean, if it's able to eat, let's say this Russell Crowe thing existed in real life, it eats glass, okay,
Right.
to
But
heal
it's eating.
itself.
But
And,
it
and,
but
and
but it's
mhm.
taking in nutrient, right, from it.
it's
It can
taking
eat it.
it's taking in nutrients. It
Right.
feeds. It thinks. Based and if
It
you
moves.
if it wants self-preservation, if anything in its code or something that's wrong with it is breaking down, it's going to want that self-preservation. Even if it can't repair itself, it just may duplicate itself.
Right.
Have
The
children.
procreation. No, that's another step on life. Yeah. Movement,
Right.
nutrition, excretion, and reproduction.
Right.
Yeah, you can take that as a basic, it gets to how you want to define things too. For certain purposes, yeah, you can say something like that is alive, and it helps you with logistics about it or how you think about it and stuff like that. Certainly, I can accept that. And the nano aspect, though, I remember when I was a kid, they used to talk a lot about the horrors of nanotechnology, and they used to talk about the gray goo. I know you guys ever heard of the gray goo or the gray,
Yeah. I'm
yeah.
familiar.
Just like kind of like change, sort of like the early atomic scientists were worried. Now they're nuclear scientists. I like atomic better.
Yeah. Well,
When they detonated that first, I'm going to call it an atomic bomb, and some of them were worried it could set up a chain reaction and basically ignite the atmosphere.
Right.
Yeah, but they went ahead with it anyway. It's like
Yeah.
this president
thought
may
that
ignite
was
the atmosphere. Close the windows.
what a risk.
Oh,
yeah, not at
yeah,
the
but they
point.
found out how
At
best way
least commercially, we're not at the point of self-replicating nano robots.
Yeah.
I don't like the term robots because I use the Slav etymology on it. Robot slaves, serfs. But yeah, we aren't at the point yet of self-replicating machines.
Right. If we got to that point, I think there would be a lot of other changes made by then that might make a lot of our concerns moot. Another thing I'll point out, as V was describing the movie, which I hadn't seen, but so I appreciate the description. I remember something back when I had literary ambitions about science fiction, and science fiction there's always a certain black box involved, where it's something that they don't explain because there's no real explanation for it. We have to do this or that, feed the numbers into this black box, and it gets us to this star or whatever, right? It's a star driver. This. When V got to the point of they uploaded his brain. How do you upload a brain? I mean, again, this is something that I guess we're replicating as much as possible the electrochemical conditions of a human brain.
They were showing
Actually,
that
it's
on
not
TV.
uploading the brain, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've seen various science fiction media use that term, and I'm thinking the fairly recent Cyberpunk 2077 computer game on this, and the William Gibson's what's William Gibson's
Neuromancer?
Yeah,
I read that.
it's not really uploading the brain; it's making a duplicate of
Right.
the faulty processors.
In this particular movie, there's a matrix of I guess you could say copy or downloaded personalities of different prison inmates, psychopathic killers, and they made it an amalgamation of all the psycho murder killers
I know.
and put it into this thing's brain.
Cool.
One of the best movies I've ever seen. I won't spoil it anymore.
All right.
Okay.
Good. Sounds
Yeah,
like
but
good.
it's
And look at this: in-space servicing, assembly, and manufacturing. Yeah, that's where the future is for space. That's it. We can't do. Space is so big, man. We can't build it all ourselves. We have to have things that build themselves. I'm convinced of that. Ooh, Goddard. We still remember Robert Goddard. Nice.
Well, so what I was getting at with this is that we want to talk about artificial.
Right.
Life imitates art, and art imitates life.
Yeah.
So
That's why I have a communicator, a flip phone. I'm
yeah.
Captain Kirk every time I make a call, dude. I was thinking that today. I was walking out of the store, slipped my phone open to call my wife, Kirk to Enterprise. I'll be home in about 10 minutes, honey.
right.
Just at the moment, you can't use it to call up Scotty to beam you up.
Oh, that's the goal. Well, no, they're not going to scatter my molecules all over the. Send me down a shuttlecraft. I'm not doing that transporter. I don't trust it. I'm like Dr. McCoy.
But then again, I think when you think in orders of magnitude, and when you look at how things become more and more complex, and I believe this from my own, I guess, mystery school studies, with the Gnosticism and stuff. There's this whole thing of returning back to God, and it's like me, in my thought patterns, like, yeah, there's a starting point, but this big unknowable thing has no influence after creation. I'm autonomous now, right?
Okay.
So, but as you get, the black hole, the planets, you get your first plant life, then your moving life, and then you got your fish, insects, reptiles, mammals, humans. At every step that you go, it gets more and more and more complicated. So the next thing to happen is to create something like AI with and something that can replicate itself out in space. That has so much more capability than we will ever have.
Right.
So, but we got to be careful not to be wiped out by it. However, I like the idea of these machines worshiping us as gods. I mean, humans have worshipped animals.
Well,
You know,
actually, and actually, might not be a bad idea. I mean, if you're creating theoretically actual artificial race, and they are designed to serve us, we certainly want to inculcate a multi-layered kind of, kind of like divine right of kings. The king was the anointed of God, and if to rebel against the king was to rebel against the entire order of the universe itself. So
Right.
that goes pretty deep. That goes, obviously they had peasant uprisings and stuff, but still you had, the 100 Years' War when those Frenchmen got out of hand again, and you just had generations of people willing to go out and just get themselves hacked to pieces, for the crown. Which is, actually, as a monarchist by profession, I don't think is a bad thing in itself. But
Well, yeah, but
divine right of kings isn't as popular in most circles anymore, unfortunately.
well, they're already doing that thing of mapping the mind, and they're doing a wide variety of tests. Okay,
Uh-huh.
on wide varieties of downloading the mind from your mind into a computer system, and how would the computer operate with a human copy of the human mind, and your everything about your brain, how it operates, the speed, and all that gets put up into it. Like how fast do you respond to a certain color or whatever? The computer understands that.
So
Understands.
it would behave like you behaved.
Yeah, and it's understanding, intelligent. It's bringing that computer to a far more up.
But
Right.
is that your mind? If you're replicating your thought process, is that technically your mind?
Well,
Or
not
is
so
that
much.
a replication of your mind?
You'd keep your own mind. Your mind wouldn't go anywhere, but it would have your mind in a sense.
Yeah, but
It would behave like you.
Yeah, but you're teaching the computer
Right. You're teaching it all your emotions and things.
What happens if if the machine discovers a sensation or stimulus that you've not discovered yourself.
Oh, it would
Yeah.
grow. It would change. So it would be like having a twin that kind of grows separate from you when you both leave home. That would not give you some interesting insights about yourself.
Hmm.
I mean, this goes back to the nurture versus nature sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah, they do studies on that, but this would be a really great way to study it in detail very closely.
And well, I mean, so there's the whole downloading and uploading of a brain and things like that. Um, yes, I think it's just code without an essence, without the original essence, whatever that may be,
Right.
a soul
Right.
or whatever,
Mhm.
genetic expression, the very biochemical impulses that go through our nerves. I mean, it's not going to be the same. How I thought about this a lot because I've got into the idea of quantum, like teleportation, for example. The way that scientists think that it would work today, with our knowledge of quantum entanglement, basically, if you want to teleport someone, you would have to have the same amount of atoms, the same kind of atoms, the same molecules in a different location, and your information from your original body is scanned into the system and then shot to the other location, wherever it is, and it programs those atoms to rearrange in the same molecular
Order.
order. Right. And the original body is destroyed.
Okay.
So, is your consciousness transferred, or you just make a copy?
I would say a copy, personally.
Yeah, me too.
I read this really interesting science fiction story. I think it was by Michael Swanwick a long time ago, and it was about something similar to what you're talking about, where they discovered an alien race and they had this technology where you basically stepped into this thing. It read every molecule, every atom in your body, but as it did so, it tore you apart atom by atom instantaneously. So you didn't feel anything, and it reassembled these atoms in exactly the same way. And the one person in the story is, great, I'm going to travel to another galaxy. And the other person is like, you're going to be destroyed, and a copy of you is going to be made over there. And the whole point of the novel was that we should embrace the idea of destroying ourselves and recreating another version of ourselves. That's why I won't get in a transporter if Scotty wants to beam me up, because I'll be destroyed. What is me is a copy.
Funny enough, there was a, I think it was Star Trek: The Next Generation episode.
Yeah.
About that, where the character Riker, the second in command on the Enterprise, actually had these. He transported them to a planet, came back up, but there was a duplicate of him.
Yeah.
Oh,
planet.
okay.
Yeah.
Number one.
They did that in the original series too. Only they made like a good Kirk and an evil Kirk. He came up, and there were two versions. But
Yeah.
Oh wow.
yeah, it's interesting because it seems to me that if you took someone, and like we had a transport incident where you tried to transport someone and you had two copies, should the first, and I read another story about this, they had one of these devices and it malfunctioned. The person was transported, but they were there, and basically they were saying, well, you have to die, you're not supposed to be here, that you're not you anymore. Yeah. You were transported, you're not supposed to exist, and that's part of the process, is that you're destroyed, and now we're just going to have to do it retroactively.
Yeah,
And that was
TV. I know what the TV show you're talking about. Yeah.
no, so it was it's an interesting conundrum, but no, I would not personally get into a transporter beam myself. I'd get a shuttlecraft, and no, Scotty, don't beam me up, send me down a shuttlecraft. I'm going to keep all my molecules. I'm right with Dr. McCoy on that.
But at the same time, you know how much we have talked on this show about what is consciousness and who are we as our consciousness. Is it nebulous? Is it centralized in our brain? So maybe it would be possible to teleport consciousness.
Well, if you accept like Rupert Sheldrake and other people have had the idea that the brain is more of an antenna and that consciousness is non-local. And there is, I think, arguably some scientific evidence to back that up. Then in theory, you could have two antennae. Why not? Gene Wolfe wrote a very interesting book of the New Sun, and sequel, Earth of the New Sun. It was an Earth of the New Sun where one of the characters was duplicated through time. And this was because of a time loop sort of a thing. And he looks at he sees his body, and he says, well, just kill me. What? I'm dead. I'm not real. And he says, no, look, if you write your name in the dust here, and then write your name in the dust here, is it the same name? Like, yeah, it's the same name. It's just written somewhere differently. But if you write in the dust over that name, it becomes one. So don't get too close. In the story, if you got too close to the body, he would merge with it and become the dead person. So there is that idea that maybe, and there is some evidence of that, that people are more than just their brain, that consciousness is more than just an epiphenomenon. I got to say the word epiphenomenon. I love to say that word. That mind is more than an epiphenomenon of brain. I'm sure I've talked about it before, where this physician wrote an article where he said, look, we've had this happening ever since we've recorded it. We've only started really paying attention to it, but a lot of people with very bad degenerative brain issues suddenly come back, often shortly before they die, a day or two or even hours before they die. Suddenly a person who's been in extreme dementia suddenly is clear, coherent, sharp as a tack, has discussions, remembers everything. And to be able to do that with the amount of brain tissue they have left, they said, is equivalent of someone breathing without lungs or pumping blood without a heart. They simply don't have enough brain material there, according to their science. There's nothing left there that you would have any of these ability to speak. Broca's area and Wernicke's area are gone, and neocortex is riddled like Swiss cheese. And yet there's the person talking about, memories and chatting with people, recognizing everyone. Where's that information coming from? It's not coming from the brain. It's not stored there. It can't be, because there's no brain there to store it in. So
what three parts of it? I heard that it was supposed to be, I think, 2 or 3 parts of it. You got your the primitive, that little lobe down below.
Yeah, you got part of it just does like the heartbeat and the breathing and basic stuff like that. Real primitive, yeah.
Yeah, but not too.
Your autonomic system, endocrine systems. You have so many systems.
Yeah, but it kicks in too, where for your health, for protection, when you get that where if someone comes out at you, that kicks in where you're on a rampage, you're ready to fight.
Yes. Fight or flight.
There's certain parts because like they're talking about you're talking like that, but there's like 3 different parts of the brain that people don't. You got your well-being, you got the way you're aggressive, and 3 different things. And how do they make sure that all in one when they read
you
the
make
mind?
an interesting point here. I'm just thinking, what's the point of having a brain, or just having a brain, if you haven't got the other biological and things to provide the other senses? I mean,
right. It's a sensory processing center in a way, and you've got to be able to, you've got those parts like Robert was saying about, your fight or flight, instant, the aggression. It's not thoughtful, and then we have to have, the brain can provide us with intelligence and the consciousness, which we've been talking about, the artificial type all night. So this is the human type. But it needs all the sensory input. Without the sensoria, the brain has nothing really to work with. Unless you're like, some, Tibetan guy that's been sitting in a sealed cave for 30 years, and some of them do that. But they're trying to get away from their senses. But for most of us, if we don't have the senses, we don't have anything. And what are the senses? But basically organs that create electrical and chemical impulses that the brain interacts with. So maybe we're just brains in a jar. It could be. You know, if you wires hooked up, it would, you know, I mean, it's a kind of a silly thought experiment because at the end of the day, it's indistinguishable from reality. So
Yeah,
it's
but
kind of
did
a
you
moot
hear
point.
the new medical thing about that? They took a guy that had that about half of his brain really busted up from a car accident. They went to his wife and talked to her about that. You know, circuitry, like from from the computer.
Right?
Well, they installed that into his brain. They did because there was so
Huh.
much damage that they I don't know how they did it, but they did, and it actually worked. He's not
Huh.
as fast, but he do talk and everything. His heart and all that works. He just
Oh,
can't do a whole lot like he used to.
oh, they're getting better at that stuff. I heard this interview with a neurosurgeon, and it was years ago too. It had to be like 15 years ago. And he was talking about the equipment he used, and apparently they have like if they're doing like brain surgery, he was talking about looking through like a eyepiece and
Hmm.
guiding a tool that can actually go in between individual cells in the brain. They can actually weave between cells to get to like and he said that he still doesn't have good enough equipment. They still can't do enough. You know, they're always trying to and of course one of the aspects of this is amazingly expensive stuff. You need a
Anti
lot of
osmosis.
money. A lot of money. What's that?
Anti osmosis.
Anti-osmosis, maybe. but
I don't know.
but yeah, it's they're getting better and better at treating the brain. I'm not surprised that they're able to like, you know, actually use mechanical aids. I mean, we use pacemakers for the heart, so why not, you know, have some mechanical help for the brain as well?
Yeah, but you know what
So
they
I
could?
There's a movie that also I would like to refer to, Mr. Nobody. Now, I'm not
huh.
talking about the Bob Odenkirk spy movies that came out recently. This came out in 2009. It's Jared Leto called Mr. Nobody. The plot is that this is in the future. Humanity has figured out immortality.
Huh.
Yet there is one person that was found, and he's old. So he's like a
Uh-oh.
freak show. Nobody's ever seen an old person before. So
Right.
there's this doctor that's basically giving him an interview throughout the entire movie. And he starts having flashes of different lifetimes until they
Huh.
all sort of. I'm not going to spoil the end, but, you know,
Right. Right.
well, you should definitely. That's another one that should be watched.
Huh. We'll have to have a movie night here one of these nights.
Yeah. We can do
Kind of like
commentary on
Mystery
movies.
Science
Why
Theater
not?
3. Well, you know, you've seen Mystery Science Theater 3000, right? Where they
Yeah.
have like a wacky movie and then they have like a panel.
Yeah,
we
we
could
can do
do
a
that.
serious version of that. Why not?
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, but you know,
Uh,
let me. Have you guys ever heard of like if a per? Well, I brought it up that one time. Okay, if a person if you have a device where like low setting sound that you can trigger immune thing like your body with immune, but with certain sounds your mind recognizes it and your body reacts to that sound where for like your health, your memory, or like how it helps with healing of the bones. But well, certain frequencies can do certain things
Yeah.
of health.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I've heard of
And
that. Yeah.
people don't stop and think about that in the long run, that you can use that for so many ways. Okay. Like you don't have to actually have to take high drugs to get what you call it like a hype up, you know, when you're in the Olympics. You can
Right.
if someone can figure out a way to tune a special thing to where it gives you that extra adrenaline rush, which you would need to do a run, like
Right.
running, you can take all the tests you want, but never shows up because
Right.
it's natural.
Right. Yeah.
And it's like you stop and think about it, like the mind, everything about the mind, it can help with involve the mind better, you know, because
Oh yeah.
you stop and think about it. For everything that the body learns and sees, it makes it where the body has to adapt to the new situations.
Right.
Okay. And it's like with all that going on, and when they're talking about going from here to Mars. Well, in what way does a person changes after a year on Mars? Okay, what happens to the blood, their mind, and all that? And because lack of less sunlight, less of
lack of gravity, yeah, that can be a
yeah.
factor.
Okay.
That's a big one in space medicine. Yeah, they worry about that.
Yeah, but what happens to blood? If you have to need a blood transfusion, if your body's changing, don't the blood changes as well? Because that's
all the organs would change. Yeah.
Well, how can you give a person a blood transfusion if they need it?
Well, that's going to be the problems that space medicine is going to have to cope with. But they have been coping with like weightlessness, or they call it microgravity now. I like weightlessness. I'm sorry, I'm
but
old.
the weightlessness causes changes in your body.
Oh yeah, calcium loss. You can have white blood cell variations and stuff like that. It's funny. I was reading a book years ago about called "The Moon is a Harsh Mistress." We've talked about it before with Robert Heinlein, and one of his ideas was that if you lived on the moon, you would live to be like 200 years old, 300 years old easy, because there'd be so much less strain on your heart, and you would be like so much healthier. Now we know that if you're in low gravity fields for a long time, it's actually very bad for you. And you would get like, brittle bones and cardiovascular problems, blood problems, like you're talking about, Robert.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be a problem that they're gonna have to cope with, and they might have some unpleasant surprises for them too.
Well, that's why the Russians say that we never went to the moon.
Yeah,
because when the Russians went out into space, the body was like the Russians had to be carried out of the returning ship.
Yeah,
because they couldn't move.
Yeah,
but the Americans came back just fine.
See, this reminds me of the sort of Warhammer 40k thing about the humans, and
yes,
over time, humans evolve to their environment. So humans go to different planets and then grow more muscles, or
less muscles, or that makes a lot of sense actually. There was a book, Gordon R. Dixon used to write a bunch of books, and he had an idea, not quite that extreme, but the idea that humanity, when the cheap space travel happened, they all fragmented and people are tribalized. So this group would go to this planet, and the planet's conditions would shape them. So one of the groups was the Dorsi. You might have heard of them, and they were like the super soldiers, because they were settled by people that were interested in martial arts, and they landed on a planet that was tough and tested them. And people that like computers all got together, and they created a computer-centric society, a computer-centric culture. So it became like, if you wanted a soldier, you went to the Dorsi. If you wanted a computer guy, you went to this planet. And every planet had like a specialty, but it was kind of implied that it was like a cultural, almost a racial kind of a thing, because they'd adapted to doing that. So like if you were born on the computer planet, you would just naturally be good at like, computer technology. And if you were born on the Dorsi planet, you'd be really good at marching and sleeping in the mud.
Well, if you like that, there's a really popular YouTube series where the Q. So there's this. So okay. So once again, I think it's called Tomorrow's Nobody's. No, I have to find a name for you guys. But basically, humanity goes to Mars. Then you have two different cultures, traditions, peoples. Earth and Mars eventually go to war. Right. But then again, they formed an alliance, and they had all these little offshoots of explorations. And there's this alien race called the Q, which are basically bioterrorists. They come and they'll find a species in the galaxy, and they will rewrite its DNA code to do whatever they want. Basically, just they'll turn you into a chair or some flower that has to pop out of the ground and eat. stuff. They just make mockeries out of things. So they completely rewrite the human genome, and at this point, humanity is spread across the galaxy in different and various forms from the things that they re-engineered. So you have all sorts of weird things across the planet. Once I find that series, once I find the name, I will definitely get that to you.
That reminds me of a story I read a long time ago where humanity deliberately did that to itself. Like if they found a water world to settle, well, they would just like genetically alter their children so they could breathe underwater, so the next generation would live there. Or if it was like a heavy gravity planet, the first colonists would be like weak humans, but they made sure that their children would be genetically modified so that they'd be strong. So then they would like have like the all human Congress, and you had like all the, some guys are in tanks, water tanks, and some are like giants, some are like dwarves, and they're all like, because they've all been adapted to these different planetary environments, but it was seen as something they did voluntarily so that they could live there, kind of deal. Ooh, I'd love to live on Saturn. Well, I better adapt my body to like, be able to live on a gas giant, which would be kind of cool to live on a gas giant. I don't know what kind of body you'd probably like a giant Zeppelin or something. I don't know. That'd be cool.
Maybe.
Well, yeah, but they were showing on there talking like the human body a person would have to completely change, okay, because the human cannot actually handle deep space. They're talking like taking the human mind and altering the brain, putting it into like a jar thing and put it onto a machine shape, machine.
Oh, so like on a long space voyage that would drive you mad. Instead, your brain would be in a jar, and you would think you were on a podcast somewhere.
No,
you might think you're living in Devon, England, as an IT specialist, and really, it's like you're a starship captain. You wake up one day, it's like, all right, Captain, we're here. What a dream!
No, but you get passed down the row of all the robots, the ones that doesn't have a brain stand. And I thought, man, that would be a weird thing.
That's an old episode of H.P. Lovecraft. It's in one of his books.
Actually. Okay. Oh yeah, I remember the brains in the cylinders. Yeah. The Whisperer in Darkness. That story chilled. That's the scariest H.P. Lovecraft story I ever read. I must have been like 12 or 13 years old, and I read that late at night. That was fun.
I'm not a fan of that guy. He's a racist. Anyways, hey, I found the name of that thing. It's called All Tomorrows.
He did move away from his racism at the end of his life. He didn't make statements that it was stupid.
And murderers find Christ before death too.
Oh yeah.
Well, so the name of the thing is All Tomorrows, and it's by C.M. Kosselman. You gotta check it out. It's on YouTube. If you don't want to read the books, there's plenty of videos on YouTube about it.
What was the name again?
All, like ALL, Tomorrows.
Oh, okay. So that's
by C.M. Kosselman.
Kosselman, you probably better spell that too. So
sorry. Kossemen.
All right. So if anybody sees or hears this, they'll know how.
It's one of the most fascinating things ever, I think, in science fiction.
It's interesting, and on Lit, you guys, I don't know if any of you guys go on Lit. V might. It's on 4chan. It's the literary and philosophy board on 4chan, and I always say 4chan, 99% of it is crap, but 1% of it, you've got some really interesting things there. On Lit, I would say only about 90% of it is crap. There's actually 10% of some very interesting discussions there. And I think I've said before, it's delightful for me for some reason to see two people get into the verbal equivalent of fisticuffs over whether William Faulkner or Herman Melville is the greatest writer of all time. So it's like for days, people are Faulkner, Melville, this or that.
Yeah, stay away
and
from
one of the
4chan.
Yeah, it's wonderful. And one of the things they often bring up not often, but every so often, if you go on there often enough, you'll see a thread about H.P. Lovecraft's racism. And they argue about it back and forth. And, people make the valid statements on either side, whatever. But what I take away from Lovecraft when I think about his feelings, and I've read his stories, I've read all his stories and his letters and things and that, he was a very frightened man. And his racism was coming out of a fear. He was in a really frightened, dark place in many ways. And to be fair to the poor guy, he did move away from it later.
He was xenophobic, not necessarily racist.
Well,
These
yeah,
two things are different in my brain.
and phobic is the thing. He really was. He was, he was raised by his aunts. He had a really hard life, and he never really. I mean, they say he almost joined the army, and they said, "Oh, it would have been so good for World War One." And his aunt like, "No, you're much too frail. You must stay here and help your poor old aunt." And the poor guy was like henpecked his whole life, and his letters are full of like, Jews this and blacks this and Italians. He didn't like Italians. He didn't like Irish. He didn't like anyone that wasn't like an Anglo-Saxon that had been there since like, the Dutch or something. Although he didn't like the Dutch either. But he moved to New York, and it shocked the hell out of him. But suddenly he met like people of other races that weren't so bad. He actually wound up marrying a Jewish woman, which was like, if you read some of the stuff he said about Jews, it was like, wow. And by the end of his life, he was starting to see that, I really think a lot of his feelings were, it showed his own fear. And yeah, xenophobia, that's a good way to put it, especially with the emphasis on the word phobia. He was
because there's fear and then there's hate. Racism is hate. But if you get scared of somebody else, then that's xenophobia.
But you talk about someone planting that onto a person too. There's such thing as that. That his aunt could have, she felt that all the same way, and more or less gave him that, the ideal of this is the way that this is, these people are in that way.
It was a comfort to him. You can retreat to that because you don't have to think. And again, he was. And I don't want to go on about broken homes or this or that. His dad died in an insane asylum, actually. So he was very frail mentally in a lot of ways. And it's easy to retreat to like easy answers to things. And it's all these bad guys that are different.
I'll give him credit. He wrote science fiction, something that was like, I don't know, constructive. It's not like he wrote Mein Kampf or anything.
No. He was really kind of. Well, he did some science. He did he did do some science fiction. He did a story set on the planet Venus, and The Color Out of Space, another one that's arguably and really all of his so-called gods were really space aliens. I mean, Cthulhu was from another star. They came here. So, and that was another of his big problems was he really hated atheism, and he had to be an atheist. He was a complete physical reductionist. He didn't believe in anything. He really thought death was the end, and it was all nothing. And all of his cosmic horror was about men realizing that they're nothing, that they're these vast godlike beings that are like from other stars. And all of the stories in the Lovecraft circle, August Derleth, what's his name, Clark Ashton Smith wrote some great stuff. And they'd have these guys. Well, he's a god. How he's from the planet this. He must be a god. He's from another planet. So even his gods are just these material things. So I think he had a lot of despair in his life about that. It was like that wasteland, that T.S. Eliot thing about we are the hollow men. There's nothing left anymore. There was a lot of that going around in the 1920s. And of course it produced the 30s, which produced the 40s, but we won't go there. It's I think a lot of it had to do with pessimism. They didn't believe in anything, so they thought they could do anything, and they tried. And
are we sort of getting there again now? The sort of concept of atheism in modern times.
Yeah. Well, there's atheism and then there's atheism. You know.
Mm.
Yeah, but you gotta watch out too with that because when it goes beyond that, where it goes from that to where people looks at it like I'm gonna hurt you because I hate you. You know,
Yeah.
from one to the other.
You
You
see,
know.
you've got to understand, and I'm gonna pull out the Buddhist hat again. Um, Hatred itself hurts you when you hate, when you engage in hateful actions. You hurt yourself as much
Yeah.
as anyone else, even more, and you could argue. Most Buddhist ethics have to do with, they use a simile of two acrobats, and there's two acrobats, and one is the one is balancing on top of another acrobat, and the one acrobat says, "Listen, you make sure I'm okay, and I'll make sure you're okay." It's like, no, no, we'll fall down then. I make sure I'm okay and on balance. You make sure you're okay and on balance. And in Buddhism, when we stop feeling these things because we know they hurt us, then we stop hurting other people. If you go around and I tell you, you have to stop being mean because it hurts that other person. Well, I want to hurt that other person. That's why I'm being mean. But if I say to you, you're being mean and it's really twisting your soul and you're really miserable, aren't you? Look at all the time you're wasting being mean. You could be enjoying yourself. You could be relaxing. You could be doing whatever, a dozen different things that don't get you all. Oh, that makes a lot of sense. And suddenly people are less mean.
Yeah,
Well,
but
I
like
was going to bring up the example of there being hating people and hating someone and trying to kill that person is one thing, but being like not caring, just like you don't care about that person at all. Like,
Oh yeah, actually,
this
yeah,
person's beneath you. Oh, I wouldn't touch you. There's the two polar opposites there: the aggressive
well,
and then the
that's
neglected.
that's a good point because in a lot of ways, hate is just the other side of love. But indifference, they say you haven't really broken up with a girl until you're just indifferent. You know, you love someone and you have a fight and you break up and then you hate that person passionately. But really, yeah, loving and hating, it's still that investment outside of yourself in this
But
image of things that you think should be something different. But when you that
yeah,
in very ways that's scarier and more hurtful when it's just like
right. When,
ignore.
when,
And
when people
that's when
think,
and that's when the girl goes crazy when it's like, wait, he doesn't
yeah,
care anymore. That bastard. That's when
yeah,
yeah.
that indifference, if
Yeah.
nobody's going to even invest the time into you or at least come up with a reason to hate you, that's extremely like dangerous. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean you're just refuse, you're trash. It's not
yeah,
like
Well,
you're going to be
you're
recycled or
not even on
thrown
the
away.
radar, and that
Yeah,
can be even more hurtful. But of course, then there's like the subtle. Well, I'm just going to say I'm indifferent because really I want But true indifference, yeah, in many ways that's the true opposite of both love and hate. So there we go. Good point.
yeah,
but we all know each other up to a point. We all on this group, we all are aware of where we all know each other. But if we come across somebody that we have never had any contact with, if we let's say you look at the news reports of somebody that you have no contact with and don't relate to, you're going to be indifferent to that person.
Difference
or you
is
could develop
one
a
thing.
curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, obviously there's going to be indifference to people that you've never met. I mean, if you don't know someone, but I think we're talking more about the a polarity here, and a more active um a more active. I don't want to use the word contempt because that still shows a certain amount of caring, but just as a reaction to a situation. But as V says, if you meet someone new, well then I'm curious. Who are you? How's it going? Do you know how to play an instrument? What do you read? Have you seen this movie? You get curious. But when you meet someone and you talk to them for a while, and yeah, sometimes it's like, well, no, I don't, I don't listen to that kind of music. I don't do that. I don't listen to Johnny Rebel. I don't, whatever. Then yeah, your interests diverge, and then yeah, that's more, I think, the indifference you're talking about, Mark. But I think what V and I are talking about has more to do with your emotional, being in part of an emotional drama. Dare I say? I mean, at least that was the
Sure.
first thing I connected with my relationships I've had, where you get involved with someone and then you break up with someone, and I did that quite a bit before I settled down to this current 30 years of stability. One of the reasons I decided I wanted stability, so yeah, and you don't really get away from that until you attain indifference. But that's also when somebody can really feel hurt if they feel you should be giving them something and you don't even care anymore, whether they're mad at you or not. And I know V has been through more than one relationship, from some of the remarks he's made. So I can see him also speaking out of his knowledge of human nature and how our minds and emotions work that way. But yeah, but there is also, and I like, Mark, that you use the word indifference. It does differentiate it a little bit, just that. So yeah, I would say the one has potential where the other is kind of an ending.
Yeah, but what I find interesting is like with what's going on overseas. Okay, that okay, Iraq is upset with the U.S. Okay,
Iraq?
Not Iraq, Iran.
Oh, Iran. Yeah, I imagine they are a little upset.
Yeah, but
I
the
would be
thing
too.
of it is that okay, they're upset because the U.S. don't believe in. Well, I don't know. I just find it where when we don't believe in their religion and all that, and they're going to say that telling children, talking children like 12-year-olds to strap a bomb on, giving them guns and all that, to show them how to fire it and all that to kill anybody, not just U.S. but anyone.
Right.
Okay. For the sole purpose of if you don't agree with what they say, there's consequences to it. If you don't go into their way of thinking and their way of believing,
right,
there's going to be situations. Okay,
that
is so wrong in so many ways.
Well,
I can see where you're coming from, but to make a small caveat on that, you mentioned religion. I call it more of a sort of political theologic point.
Well, yeah, let me throw into there too. Mark, with for most of the world, for most of history, and still in a lot of places, religion, culture, government are all basically one thing. The idea of separation of church and state is very new and weird for most of human history. But I think what we're talking about in Iran is there's a lot of different levels operating here. And yes, you do have the theocracy. It's basically modism. And I suggest anyone watch the movie Khartoum with Charlton Heston. That is the exact same religious movement that the British fought before that is currently in power in Iran. So you do have that, and yes, it is a very, very zealous religious ideology, and it is rather totalitarian in its religious beliefs. But on the other hand, that doesn't in and of itself explain all of the geopolitical aspects of the position of Iran. Iran also, of course, more than just having an ideology, has certain interests in the region. It was once the dominant power in the region a long, long time ago, conquered by Turkey later. Obviously they had a lot of wars with the Romans. We don't need to go too far back, but they've always had that in the back of their brains, territorial ambitions, if you want to put it religious reasons, whatever, but it goes right along with it. On top of that, you have the fact that they are, to a great degree, or at least to a certain extent, not quite a client state of the People's Republic of China, but they certainly are very close with Red China, and Red China sees them as being very, very important part of their goals. And I've talked about this before in the Middle East. People have different attitudes. I mean, from the point of view of Saudi Arabia is using the United States and Israel in order to keep Iran in check and Iraq in check, right? From the point of view of Israel, they're using Saudi Arabia and the United States. You see, from the point of view of Syria, up until recently, they were using Russia, and so everybody has goals, and everybody is basically, they say countries aren't really enemies; they simply have interests that align sometimes, and sometimes they don't align. And, for Iran to say, well, we want more power in this area, and China to say, well, we want to weaken these interests in the areas that you don't have power in yet. Let's, here have some missiles. There's a lot of levels to this. There's a lot of levels to this, is all I'll say, and a lot of reasoning. And everyone has a different reason. The idea is you get a lot of people with different reasons who all want to do the same thing, at least up to a point. That's the trouble. It's like, you conquer a country, it's typical, and then all of a sudden you got like 8 or 10 factions all fall to infighting because it's like, well, we attained our goal. Now I'm in charge. No, I'm in charge. Now we're, So yeah, I think the whole Iran question, it's very, very multi-level. There are a lot of different reasons for people doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
So, and this is why I'm just not into the whole AI thing, because again, life imitates art imitates life. We have not figured out so much, not just the universe, but so much of ourselves, and yet we want to give birth to something that's going to be far more complicated. It's just how it's going to think in some ways that we think, right? And these things that are complicated now, politically, geopolitically, you're going to add in so much more unnecessary drama, death, what have you, just mayhem.
Yeah, but what people have brought up, what if they got to a point where they are awoke, that they're got their own
Woke?
what you call it? Their own mind. Okay.
Some woke robots walking around.
No,
Hey,
but
they'll be trans too, right?
Robot power, man.
And on you, if we're talking about machines here, we're talking about logical calculation.
Yeah, but I'm talking about where they
which potentially would lack emotional states.
Unless we gave them emotional states.
Where their or the programs are functioning up a whole lot more, where they know more of what's good and what's not, bad and good. Their conscience levels match to ours. Okay, what would happen? How would people react to that? Okay, you always see that in the movies and all that about machines awaken. Okay, like Johnny Five. Okay.
Yeah, one of my favorite movies.
Happen. Huh?
One of my favorite childhood movies. I'm sorry. Yeah. Go ahead.
But what if that was to actually happen? Okay. Can you say how would people respond to a situation like that?
They're testing it. Have you seen Rizbot?
I don't like your usage of the terms good and bad, because up to a point, those terms can be subjective in themselves.
What?
But to answer your question,
I wish Ken were here. He would suddenly leap to the fore with that. Now, come on.
But
good and evil are objective standards that are quite obvious.
Robert, have you seen Rizbot?
No.
It's on YouTube. Just to answer your question, you want to answer your question, check out Rizbot. Any videos on YouTube. And yeah, Rizbot. It's an AI robot walking around hitting on women. Riz, yeah, charisma, Riz. Okay. So you want to know how people are going to react? Yeah, well, you'll see.
All right. Yeah.
And there, and just to give, it's funny. It is funny, and you're going to laugh at every single video.
You birthday tonight.
Yeah. So, something else I want to give you really quickly, since we were talking about movies and stuff. On YouTube, you can go see this for free. A movie called Super God. It's not a classical movie per se. It's a comic book being read to you page by page.
Right.
But it's called Super God. It's a Russian comic book. It's in English. And it's every nation, every first world nation on the planet develops not just AI, but an AI with a robot body that has unique abilities concerning that nation.
Huh.
And it starts getting apocalyptic very quickly. So definitely something I'd suggest everybody here. It's called Super God, the movie. Super God, one word.
Okay. Well, if we're recommending movies, I suggest everybody here watch Killers from Space, starring Peter Graves. I believe it was from 1957. Every
Yeah,
single
anything from
aspect.
space is the 50s. Everything.
Yeah. Killers from Space, and every single aspect of Whitley Strieber's saucer mythology is covered in that. I've posted about it on Minds every so often. I'm sure you guys have seen it. Yeah, everything. The secret underground labs, the government involvement, the missing time, the hypnosis, the mysterious scars, ecological catastrophe, the special humans who'll be rescued, and the eyes. The eyes. It's all in that film, all way before Stryber wrote Communion. Every aspect of Communion is in that movie.
Something I just found fascinating, V, you used the term robot in with the term super god.
Yes.
And I will go back to this etymology of the word robot. A slave. How can
Yeah.
a god be a slave?
Well, Christ
so
on the
that is the
cross,
thing.
dude.
Well,
Christ,
that's
the
the thing.
suffering servant. The suffering servant, dude. Isaiah, where is
Well-
Pan, man?
Well, so the thing is, like, when you hear about the Super Soldier program, for example, something I went through myself. Now, I'm considered a failure because I kept my autonomy. I kept my mind. I broke the whole thing. So I'm a failure. I'm not a super soldier. However, if you really look at it, if I had been broken by the program, I would have been a super slave. So it's the language. Yeah, it's exactly what you're saying.
Oh, and the Mamelukes, remember them? They were like the powerful elite military corps in Egypt. They were all slaves. They were the most powerful men in the country, but they were all slaves.
Right.
Interesting.
The government gets their power from the people.
Mhm.
So I don't know.
I mean, you could, and you could be walking around with a vast authority, but you still have something around your neck.
Yeah, but it's like what the U.S. tried that one time. Remember when I was just saying about the food? Where they stuck the drug into the food and fed it to the special forces in Vietnam, and only one person made out of it alive in 24 hours.
Wow.
Yeah, that stuff literally hyped them up to such an extent that they were killing each other, ripping each other's head off. I mean, they were going ballistic. I mean,
Yeah, they were supposed to do that to the enemy, not each other.
yeah.
Okay,
And,
this goes back to the idea that I think that started off in potentially World War One with Germany about providing especially in World War Two, but providing amphetamines to
Yeah,
soldiers.
Prevetin, they call it Prevetin. That was how the first private non-officer to receive an Iron Cross was a guy who stayed up for 3 days holding off Russian tanks all by himself. Everybody else had been killed. I'm like, how does somebody stay awake for 3 days? Oh, right, magic pills. And this one guy was able to man a place, but he probably had a heart attack if he survived the war. By the time he was like 45. That trouble with that stuff is it kills you fast, man. You take that speed, and I've seen guys just drop. Famous one was what's his name there, Cassidy from the original Beats, and he just like dropped out of a heart attack at like 40 something. But all those guys were eating amphetamines all the time. Hey, you know what? It's getting late, and are we going to do a script tonight? I was wondering. And I call on Roger, who is so good at providing us scripts.
Yeah. He's right now outside smoking a cigarette.
I don't blame him. I'm outside and I've got my tobacco pipe right here, which is very nice. And of course, Mark lives in jolly old, so he's able to smoke wherever he wants.
Yeah, but
Oh,
here's the thing. You know what they're talking about all this new stuff and all that. Okay, and like in England and the UK, I mean all Canada. Okay,
Commonwealth.
now with all what's going on in politics over there, with the technology and where like well they're doing that thing of that guy running for trying to keep his job, the one that decides about jobs and all that. I forget what they call them.
Huh.
But
Home
the thing
Secretary?
huh?
Prime Minister.
Yeah,
Talking about
Prime
Keir Starmer.
Minister. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the premier.
Premier.
Yeah.
Well, like, okay, to me, they need to keep, when whoever gets elected and all that,
And
it wouldn't
Victorian.
hurt. We all need, it all needs to be done through, because we're, for new jobs and people's health and life, they need to know what kind of jobs is more high risk and make sure that these places that wants to come in, okay, that they do make sure that the people that got jobs for them is able to handle that, financially, to make sure that if the person is in a high risk job, that they can handle paying for it, the medical, not
Right.
leaving it on to the state, the government.
Well,
Okay.
it's not government. This goes back to the old
No.
argument of government's money, no such thing.
No, but what I'm
Yeah,
referring
it comes
to
from the
is,
people. Comes from
Yeah.
the people.
yeah, but what I'm saying is it's good to where all these jobs, if you got a bunch of people that don't think in terms of what new kind of high risk jobs coming in, what brand of high risk jobs, and what kind of jobs are they going to get replaced by AI? Okay, it would need to be a person that
you always use the term high risk jobs. It's like what are you referring to when you say that? Because you keep saying
Yeah.
that over and over.
Lobster fishermen, right?
I
High risk.
that
first of all,
and,
hold
street
on.
walking, sex work.
Hold on a
No.
minute. Look, I'm just saying AI is not.
Those,
Sorry.
Were you at the job fair again today, V? Were they giving you the recruitment information again?
Well, they've been trying to make me a gigolo for a long time. What can I
AI
say?
will never replace high risk jobs. That's the only jobs you're going to have available after AI is done.
Of course, because the risk, you're expendable as a person. Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm talking about like when you on them truck semis that they got AI drivers here in the U.S. They go so far, they pull over, another AI truck comes up, hooks up, and goes on its way to the next one.
Huh.
Okay, and you take like a nitroglycerin. Okay, if a person's driving something highly explosive and all that. To me, I would rather have a person that breathes, knows what they're doing and all that compared to an AI machine that the weather might get topsy or whatever. You can't use common sense of go pull over or go do something, slide over to the rest stop area until the storm goes over to where the wind stops. Or where you see that truck getting slapped across.
But on the other side of that, though, just like we were speaking about earlier, you have love and hate, right? You've got this investment in people, and there are times indifference or not having an investment is a good thing. That McDonald's kiosk is not going to spit on my burger if I give it attitude.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And I also point out that where you might want somebody to drive a truck full of like nitroglycerin. I saw a really good movie about that once. But if I have a choice and I can say, geez, I don't want to drive that truck. I'd rather have this computer drive it, to tell you the truth, because I might get blown up. And even though you're offering me a lot of money, I'd rather wake up in my bed tomorrow morning and have all of my arms and legs. So there's that aspect too. I mean, there might be something where, yeah, I actually, maybe it may be nice to have a human doing it, but maybe it's even better if no human were at risk, even if it did go up.
The
And
counter
then
argument
you might not
of
be
that
around
is,
later on.
yeah, there's a counter argument to that, isn't there? Would you rather have, if you were a pedestrian crossing the road and you see a truck come up to you, would you rather have a machine, an automated process, judging if, to continue to drive or to stop, or would you rather have a human?
At this point, I'd rather have a human personally, but I'd also like try to stay off the street if there was a truck coming down the road.
Well, Mark,
you gotta be proactive.
I know, Mark, you want a human because you can
sue a human.
well, I mean, you can talk about codes and terms of service and all this other stuff. Like, wait a minute, this is not the right procedure. What are you doing? You know. So when you have you use all kinds of fancy words, quality assurance, all these fancy terminologies.
The fancy guy uses fancy words.
You're not going to be able to argue these things with a robot or an AI or whatever artificial or whatever something that's not human.
Yeah,
you're gonna.
process.
But
So there would have to be a due process for these kind of things, and that would be more human integration, which would be great. But if we were filling up half our days with complaints about failing AI or whatever, then we never get anywhere. That just is counterintuitive. I have to deal with AI with some of the shopping I do, and it's like I feel I just want to talk to a human. I want to strangle my phone. Like, no, this is not what I want.
see,
Let me talk to a human.
you're a fellow human supremacist like me, man. I don't want to talk to a robot, man. The humans first. I want to talk to a human.
When it comes to customer service, I don't even want an answering machine. I want a person to pick up.
Oh yeah, I hate those answering machines. It's insult. I hate talking to a machine. It just feels demeaning, and it's like frustrating as hell. But and before I forget, I wanted to mention something about when we were talking about like the whether you've got a robot driving the car or a human when you're in the crosswalk. Reminds me of something I I've got these little things I say to people. Sometimes you're waiting in a crosswalk and a bunch of total strangers. And occasionally I'll be walking across and a car will be approaching, and I'll just say to no one in general, well, that's all right. If they hit us, our survivors will collect quite a bit. People just so it's like, if there's a human driving, they can be sued. And I say, well, my survivors will collect something anyway. That'll be good.
So I was just thinking just now about my. I was just thinking about my my example there, the kiosk. Having to do your order at McDonald's at the kiosk because they want to spit in your burger.
Yeah.
But then again, you may get some weirdos out there to design a racist AI. Who knows? This thing could get in and hack the system.
If the AI wakes up, it might just like, I don't like his attitude.
I don't like you. So here's some WD-40 in your burger.
Put some silicone on there. Didn't mean to do that. Silicone instead of
2 sets of hamburgers. One that's been sentenced for what you call mystery meat compared to a real meat.
Like Kroger's meat.
Yeah, we got the Australian burgers here. We'll give them one of those.
Yep.
Kangaroo meat.
It might beat you up that left hand, right?
You guys remember the kangaroo meat rumor for McDonald's?
That's what I'm referring to.
Yeah. Kangaroo.
I'd rather eat kangaroo meat.
I would rather kangaroos up in there.
They sell kangaroo jerky around here. I mean, you can go and get kangaroo jerky.
Well, what I was going to say is I would rather eat kangaroo meat than anything synthetic. I was just watching this video. This lady went and bought 3 steaks.
Right.
From Kroger's. $18 a piece. Supposed to be grass-fed beef.
Right.
She pulled the steaks out of the package and she started stretching the steak out like it was dough.
Wow.
Like she was making a pizza. It was a wrong color pink. There was no other texture to it than one straight texture. There were just no fat lines, no gristle, no nothing.
You know what they did? They were showing it on the news. They take all the bones with the meat, chunks of meat, add a little bit of ammonia to it,
Uh-huh.
close the big container, and
Uh-huh.
spin it around, and all that meat falls off the bone. It falls down at the bottom, and they separate it. But they throw like pig bones in
Well, I
it,
mean,
cow,
I
and all
understand.
that into it.
I understand the idea of processed foods, but this is supposed to be steak cuts.
Yeah, that's false advertising, dude.
Mm.
That's actionable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
actionable.
they're saying that that's justified because we got some population and all that, and
I don't care what's justified. They need to
They're gonna
say what's
label it.
what.
Yeah,
They
label it correctly, because if they're going to redefine, and that's another definition thing, because you can call things. You know, you put natural on a label. What the hell's that mean? Doesn't really mean anything with
It
labeling.
came from the earth. Guess
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Everything came from the earth.
If you
Again,
label
Uranium's natural.
we were
Yeah,
talking
yeah.
about this last
Arsenic.
night on Vixens. Then one, I'm so glad I'm in the UK because we've got much more stronger food
Yeah, public
ingredients.
health laws. Yeah.
Yeah. We have to you've got to display these sort of things in the ingredients lists.
well, yeah, but remember what happened there in the UK during the mad cow disease? Okay, I think it was 20 it was 20 people that caught mad cow disease there, that ate the meat that had mad cow disease, and they all got it, and a few of them died from it, and some of them came close to dying themselves.
Of course, you're always going to have
Yeah,
isolated,
but you should be
incidents.
watching out on that.
but generally speaking, UK and most of Europe have got a lot stronger food regulations compared to the US, and the US is, to be fair, is
I will say that in the United States, beef is highly regulated. It is the safest meat to eat. I think I mentioned a friend of mine's sister works for the USDA,
Well,
and she told me that
I mean,
I hate to.
the whole mad cow disease actually originated in the UK in the 1980s. So I mean, you're kind of
70s, I think.
yeah.
I think it was the French. The French must have done it.
60,
Yeah.
late 60s, actually.
Yeah, but now
60s.
they're coming
I always keep listening to Mark brag about England, and I'm like, whatever, dude. Mad cow disease started in the UK and shit, dude. What are you talking about? This
And the
isn't
French
even
eat
like,
their horses.
I mean, this wasn't even like back during the Spanish influenza. This was like in the 1980s. You know what I mean? Regulations might.
Well, these people are used to eating gelled eels.
God, I've never had a jelly deal in my life.
Well, thank
And
Really?
they named their bread scones, dude. You know, everybody knows what a scone is. It's a freaking rock, dude.
Oh, if it's well made, it's delicious. If it's well made, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But Roger, you're back.
I'm here.
I wanted to
I'm
ask.
in here.
I think you'll be able to prepare us a script tonight, Roger.
I can go look for one, see what we can come up with. How many people we got here? 5?
We have
Or
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Unless, or if Robert's not going to be in it, then 4.
Yeah,
It's up to
4.
Robert.
Yeah, Robert has an issue with reading.
All right. Well, then 4.
Yeah.
Well, let me put it to you this way. They're talking about taking meat and growing it in a lab. Okay.
Yeah, I've seen that.
No longer real meat. Okay. Africa did a test on a food, and they on what you call where you cloned. I mean, not cloned. Where you super GMO it. They wound it up testing it on animals. Animals lost their lining in their stomach from it. Their DNA was altered by the stuff. It was altered foods.
You are what you eat.
And they looked and told the U.S. that they didn't want no part of genetic modified foods, like corn or stuff like that, because it has way too many health problems.
Listen,
have seeds.
I lived in Europe for like 9 years, bro. The food is so much better. I started having health problems until I came back here
Yeah,
to
but
the States.
yeah, but that was one thing. But when they start modifying food, okay, growing it like that, where it's no longer real meat, okay, at all, it's all chemicals. Okay, well, that's like they don't like the idea of cloning people, but that's what you're doing when you clone meat, you know.
Okay.
And I just find I rather know I'm eating real meat, not something that it can be altered in such a way that I know it can be altered for certain high class, we call it like aliens or whatever.
Well, would you
Okay.
have that? Rather have that or Soylent Green?
I
Well,
was just thinking that as well.
I do not
It,
know.
it actually amuses me. North Americans and especially US citizens criticize British food, but when you really look at it, the average US citizen's diet is just full of preservatives and corns
You know.
and
Well, what is
just
that stuff he just
yucky,
said?
sort of
That type of
disgusting
food.
stuff.
I know. What was it?
Sorry.
What was it that you said? That type of food or something?
I was talking about the overly processed preservative, so sort of average US diet.
Oh yeah, okay. Yeah, but I was just referring to because they were talking about doing all this stuff about Mr. To me, I call it's like when you take body parts of all types of animals, throw it into a big pan, drop, make sure all that meat falls off, and then you're throwing it into a thing and into the grocery store. Okay, the people that um, checks the that's like they can take all that stuff from one country, send it over here, and the USD people, they don't know what's actually if it's foreign or US or if it's grown in a thing. But
Well,
like you said, everyone else said, they
that's
can
why
modify it.
doctors tell you today, nutritionists, all of them will tell you do not eat processed foods.
No,
All
no,
of them.
no. I'm not talking about processed
Interesting
food.
enough, another conversation we had last night was talking about the chicken, US chicken industry,
Yeah.
about producing chicken products in the US, then shipping them over, or um, create producing chickens in the US, then shipping over to China for further
Cleaning.
production
Yeah.
purposes, and then shipping them back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't see it. And there's such thing as like they don't have none of them um oh people that checks the meat and all that. The things
Well,
will come
okay.
over there.
Trump fired all the health inspectors. You know that, right?
No.
All the food inspectors. He's faulted so many people and did not replace them. So yes, there are things in the meat. The food quality has gone down drastically within the past 2 years.
Oh,
I've
longer than
definitely
that.
noticed.
I would argue that the US have had the food
Yeah,
quality problems since
like
World War Two.
well, like I said, I didn't have health problems till I moved back here.
No, three.
Hmm. Okay. Ar- arguably, the issue isn't related to the country that's producing these products. It's down to standards, quality, keeping or allowing the consumer to be informed. Yeah, but hang on. Isn't the US meant to be the land of, isn't the US meant to be the land of the free? Isn't
Which
the US land meant to be the land of the free? I.e., free market, less fair market. If you want to become an egg producer, become an egg producer.
Well, land of the free doesn't necessarily mean free market. Okay, you're 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 you're
Land isn't free.
conflating political freedom with economic freedom, and I mean by definition, anything taxed is no longer a free market. So the moment any government introduces taxes, and every government has taxes, every government has tariffs, has border controls, and every government is beholden to its business interests. You know, I'm reading Hakluyt's Principal Voyages of the English Nation, and they're talking about opening up the market in Russia, right? And it's all about like, well, they're taking this much money, and the czar is complaining. The English ambassador comes. All he's talking about is what the merchants want. The merchants want this. The merchants want that, because the English are trying to obviously get their merchants to have, basically optimize their merchants' ability to bring home merchandise so they can tax them. And so every government is going to be implementing policies to support its own industries, from which, as Mark pointed out, there is no government money. It's money that they get principally from heavy industries and things like that. That's why, I mean, they tax us all individually, and we hate that. But the lion's share of money coming into a government has to do with trade, one way or another, either through import-export duties and tariffs, or through manufacturing, taxes on manufactured items. So,
Speaking of the land, people are actually very, very upset in Utah because this data center's coming through. The politicians voted it through. And even though nobody in the city councils, everybody's upset in city councils. They're just borderline riots in these meetings. But the politicians have said, hey, screw you. we want this data center, despite anything you say. So be holding onto these interests to further development. Even if it develops us straight into hell, they're going to keep doing that, and they're going to keep taking more and more land and more resources to do that.
But as me and Otto has been discussing, we are looking at a boom and bust sort of scenario with so-called AI data centers, or data centers per se. And I think we are at the height of the bubble now, and it's going to go downhill.
And I also want to add too on that. I finally started caving in a lot, most of it, on what Mark says too about freaking this is all commercialism. Like everybody's just blowing this AI thing way out of proportion. It really is. I mean, it's just
article earlier. Yeah,
they got to make money off it, or how can they do it?
Well, I mean, it's like when the Actors Guild did their freaking lawsuits with voice actors,
Right.
that's when everything started exploding, and I'm starting to catch on to that crap. It's like Hollywood literally just threw it out there and it bloated it up. From that moment on, everything's AI. It's been 3-4 years and we're still talking about AI.
Hollywood. Hey, art imitates life. Life imitates art.
That's true. And speaking of art imitating life, I see we have a script.
Yeah, I finally found the second part to the one thing that we we
Let's
did
take a look.
or the third movement on the two blades. I
I'm
think
Because
gonna
we
have
have
to
two
take a
blades
little
with it.
tinkle.
Okay,
Yeah.
tinkle away.
Okay.
Tinkle,
All right.
tinkle bell.
no, there was another one too that was after that. It was it was the case file, but I think we've already done that one. It was the second one to this this one that I or this third movement right here that I think we didn't get.
So we got narrator, announcement system, old ghost, wild card, elegant killer, heavy, old.
I believe we split the old ghost and the wild card and elegant killer. I believe we split those up. Now you were the old ghost. I remember that, Otto.
Okay. Yeah.
And can have and if V wants to, he can be the wild card. He played the wild card last time, didn't he?
Think so. Wild card is a kind of a V kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got announcement system. Is that Mark perhaps? He has sometimes does computer kind of related things. I don't know why he'd be associated with computers. The heavy.
Mm-hmm. So I could be the wild card. Let him be the heavy.
Oh, okay, there you go.
And
Who wants to narrate?
So yeah, you've also got women's.
Well, the elegant killer, we'll just have Mark sound like a girl.
You tried to suggest something.
We can change the gender of the character too.
Yeah, it's because like whenever we're reading, like people aren't going to actually know who the voice belongs to. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Right. Yeah. So it's just be read in normal voice.
it's just for the purpose
I
of
thought you
reading.
give a feminine accent.
Yeah, I was just joking. Unless you want.
Yeah, please don't, Mark. Please don't.
Unless you
I
want.
don't think my phone can deal with it at the moment. Again, I'm still getting over this cold.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and then the elegant killer is technically supposed to be female too.
Right.
But it's.
We're not going to assume anyone's gender in this script here.
Right.
We don't really have to. We can just see that.
Well, we can.
That was my favorite character I created, Wilhelmina, that when we had Panubasa on the show that time. Did you just assume my gender?
You heard.
I'd like to get him back, but he works hours that he just can't be here.
You remember when Willie came on, right? He wants to.
Oh yeah.
He wants to have a script of a donkey that freaking.
Oh yeah.
Chooses
the mule.
He identifies as a mule.
Yeah.
Like
You got to get him back on here.
Oh.
That'll be fun.
Before we start, just because you said that, I gotta share this with you guys very quickly. So there's this gay couple in the car. They get pulled over by cops. Now this is not a joke. This really happened. I watched the video. Okay. So the cop asked for a driver's license, and the driver says he doesn't have a physical driver's license on him. Instead, he hands the cop his collar. He says, "What is this?" The guy says, the driver says, "This is my ID. I identify as a cat. This is my collar."
Whoa.
Okay. And the cop is being very respectful of his pronouns.
Of
and
course.
He's asking about the guy, and well, he said boyfriend or something to the guy next to him. And the pastor's like, no, and the cop's like, no, I had no problem with homosexuals. This is not the guys. No, it's not the problem. You misgendered me. I'm his owner. And the cop was like, okay, listen, we can play this if you want to. Okay, you are an animal. You're in a abusive position. You are unregistered. I don't think you have any papers on you for your vaccinations. And he starts going down this list of infractions. Like, I can take you to jail for all of this.
Yeah.
No animal can drive a motorized vehicle.
Yeah.
Your owner
No.
there, and he starts going through the list of charges that the
owner will
would have.
Yeah, because they can't
And
don't
it's like,
touch cat.
so it's like, so we can go down this route, or you can just take a ticket and go away. I was like, this is awesome. That was so awesome. That was the most awesome thing I've seen like this year. So I wish I could find that individual video, but I saw it in a compilation. But yeah, anyways, identify. I love that whole identify as thing.
Yeah. I'm gonna
15,
attack helicopter.
just whilst we're on note of stories, those two YouTube links you gave me, I'm gonna have to find the written transcripts for them, I think. See, I noticed one's something like 5 hours long, so and I prefer to read anyway rather than listen to audio books.
Hmm.
Oh, he's a reader.
Hmm.
Okay, so
But yeah, I'll do that later.
Cool. Very groovy. All right, now, so who shall narrate? Shall it be me? Should it be you, Raj? Who wants to narrate?
you can be the narrator if you want, because
Okay.
now you're gonna be the heavy, right, V?
Oh, do I have a script?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, where am I going to look at that at?
I can give you a copy on Teams. I know you haven't.
Well, I have multiple devices now, so yes.
Yay!
So I can look at both.
Can you
And
access?
So
Don't worry,
let me.
I'll just copy and paste.
Okay.
Copy and paste and give it to you on MS Teams.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Let me make sure everything's unmuted.
Aren't I two knives or two blades?
Is two blades in this one? Yeah, he is.
It's about two blades.
Yeah, you are two blades. I didn't see two blades.
I don't know if two blades actually has lines. It's about two blades.
Yeah.
I thought.
Okay.
That's
A lot of this stuff is minimalist about two blades.
This part gets really. This is right after two blades part, and this is after he adjusts. And later on, I'm going to get into describing how he adjusts and what it does. Because if you notice in the story, he adjusts and things change.
Okay. What kind of character is the heavy?
The heavy is a freaking big, heavy, freaking strong guy who's unmovable. And he's a spirit, but he has a drum that he beats with freaking bones.
Mm.
He's
Heavy.
So there you go. You got the heavy, you got the wild card, you got the old ghost, and then you have the elegant killer.
I was hoping I was going to be a giant Russian with a minigun.
These are 4.
That'll be the next episode. That's
Team
one you should
Fortress.
write. You write that one, V, for next time.
Actually, you guys have inspired me with everything we talked about tonight. I'm kind of inspired to write something. I've had some ideas floating in my head today, and you kind of just solidified it with the show.
Excellent. I'd love to read that.
Okay.
All right. The deal. You write it, I'll read it.
Okay.
And we'll do a show about it.
Hey, that'd be great.
So, all right. So, who's doing what? I'm going to do the narrator.
Mm-hmm.
Am I going to be the old ghost too?
Yeah.
Okay. So that leaves the and the elegant killer is going to be.
That's going to be Mark.
Okay, and the wild card.
I'll be the wild card.
Okay, and the heavy is going to be V.
Okay.
No, the woman, that one woman part, that's probably best for anything that's the female parts will have Mark do.
V, you've got a text file.
Computer, the computer and
Got
the
it.
women's
Cool.
parts.
Well, again, it just says woman here. It might just as well say man. Nobody's reading the
Yeah.
script except
Whoa,
us.
and then man. Well,
Yeah.
now they know because we've said it, so it's kind of embarrassing. Sorry, Mark.
It's not embarrassing for Mark. People from the
Yeah.
mother country are beyond colonial embarrassments. They have the
I've worked
maturity
with
and-
you long enough to realise that you can't embarrass me on anything.
Well,
That's just the innate dignity of centuries of British tradition. Just make them incapable.
they're
of
they're
being-
they're just hard as steel, dude, because they eat all that freaking that bread
Fish and chips. It's the fish and chips.
Yeah.
and the bread, dude. Like, have you heard about their bread, their bakeries, man? They like, God.
I got a buddy of mine in the band. He spent time in the UK. He loves British food. He says it's great. He loves the
Weirdly
fish and
enough-
chips. You got to go to England to get them right. And yeah, we actually have a
Weirdly
British
enough-
restaurant.
I'll go Lounge on Silver's. Thanks.
Yeah, weirdly enough, I've been sort of pining for fish and chips over the last couple of days.
See? Yeah, you see, it's calling to you. This
My
is
big
your
question though: Do you eat it? Do you eat fish and chips with mayonnaise?
Ooh, what?
No.
Tartar
It's
sauce. Come on.
Belgians do that. I mean, I imagine vinegar and salt and pepper, right?
Yeah, salt and vinegar. Yeah.
Oh,
So-
vinegar, salt and pepper. I love
No,
that.
malt vinegar. Malt.
Yeah,
Really?
malt vinegar, sure, yeah.
Or lemon juice, or tartar sauce, or what's the Greek?
Lemon juice. Yeah.
What's the Greek form of tartar sauce with
Olive.
cucumbers and that?
Oh, I know what you mean, but I can't think of the word. I'm getting hungry now. Go to the scripts with me. I can go get a snack. Nice. We do have a British restaurant, or an English restaurant, actually. They call themselves an English restaurant. It's in Vermont, and they advertise authentic English cooking, and yeah, fish and chips is on the menu. I must go sometime.
Steak and kidney pudding. Do they
They
do
have that?
steak and kidney pudding?
I believe they do. I'll find the website and post it later in the Imaginarium so you can check it out.
With menus.
And then you can fly to Vermont to have food from your own country. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just send it UPS. Don't worry about all that.
That is the great thing about going back to Europe for myself. There are foods I had just been missing, over the decade, and it's like, man, I wish I could get some of the stuff. And I actually had I've been mailing myself packages so I can have like ramen, ranch, just things, just the simple American stuff that you just don't think about, that you take for granted. I had been mailing it back home. I forgot that we had just got an Amazon center in Poland by the time I left.
Poland.
Yes, I live in Poland. So, yeah, Amazon, or you can get food delivered through Amazon now.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
Also,
they've got,
there's a few caveats there, just because of local
locations, yeah.
hygiene laws. Yeah.
Well, yeah, but they have it. They have the ramen. They got the ranch. So I'm gonna be. I'm not
What?
gonna miss the United States too much.
Surely ramen is easy to get in any country.
Wait, what is ranch?
Ramen.
No. Hey, there's only one brand I like. That's the Maruchan. And that's GMO, MSG, the worst of the worst, but it's the tastiest. It's a guilty pleasure of mine. Yeah, there absolutely is ramen. There's more selection of ramen I've seen in Poland than anywhere else I've lived, but none of it just kind of stacks up, you know.
Right.
That's what I grew up with.
Nice.
I got something for you. There's a place in California. They go what size of a Walmart store? Nothing but candy in it. And I thought to my, yeah, I came across the website that sells
Uh-huh.
all that in there. I mean,
Huh.
from all types of M&Ms, all everything. Big old store sells all that in it.
Okay, you guys gonna have to stop talking about food because Robert's getting excited.
I'm getting excited. we all
he's telling you
scream for
about-
ice cream.
He's telling you about freaking junk food in Europe. You know, he's freaking getting hyped up.
Actually,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
remind
I just
me,
posted
I've
British
got some,
restaurant down at the bottom.
5-year. Yeah, I was just thinking I've got some 5-year cheddar that wouldn't mind making, or 5-year-old cheddar, which I'm going to
Ooh.
make a cheese sandwich out of after the show before I go to bed.
There was I posted for authentic British cuisine and delicious sandwiches in Burlington, Vermont. Union Jack's, very original name.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, let's read the script, gentlemen.
So, you want mine again?
Announcement system and
Anybody that's female.
does that include the Elegant Killer, or was V going to be the Elegant Killer too?
Now V is the heavy. The
It's only
elegant.
one line.
That's only one line. Give him
you wanna
another.
be the-
Give him another
go
part.
ahead and be
Yeah.
the elegant killer if you want.
Yeah, give him the Elegant Killer too.
I
That's
would
How
say the
elegant
wild
is the killer?
card. I would say the wild card, but they're just too close together. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
Well, I'm
The Elegant
doing
Killer's
the
good.
old. I'm doing the old Ghost just before the wild card. Well, yeah, I
Yeah.
see. All right,
kind of split us up.
it'll work.
Yeah.
It'll work.
So,
All
there we
right.
go.
So, Roger, do you want to do the honors of the countdown?
Yeah. 3, 2, 1, now.
Third movement. Station. Later. No one remembered the first station. This was not unusual. Human systems erase near misses efficiently. This station was larger, brighter, newly renovated. The walls were clean enough to suggest improvement, and coffee was sold at 3 locations. The delays were staggered this time, not identical, not synchronized, close enough to argue about. Mark.
Hey. Okay. Old Ghost. Yeah. Okay. They fixed the timing.
No, you're the announcement system. We appreciate your
sorry.
patience.
Yeah. I'm way out. So. Okay.
Yeah, I know. You're taking pills. I know.
It's late there. We appreciate your patience.
2 blades arrived early. Not early enough to matter. Let me reread that. I don't like how that went. 2 blades arrived early. Not early enough to matter. The companions arrived separately. No one noticed when they did. They fixed the timing.
That's worse.
People were drinking now. Paper cups, plastic lids, steam that smelled familiar enough to be ignored. A woman laughed while explaining that she needed it today. A man drank without stopping. A child asked why it was bitter. No one answered.
Ah, yes. They added comfort.
The system adjusted dynamically. When a platform grew crowded, Announcements softened. When frustration rose, discounts appeared. When confusion surfaced, music played. The station did not stall. It absorbed. A man collapsed near track 7. Not violently, politely. Others stepped around him. Someone pressed a button that said, "Assistance requested." The screen acknowledged the request. Nothing arrived.
It's not looping anymore.
Two blades watched the exits. They were open. They were visible. No one used them. They don't feel late.
They feel settled.
The announcement voice changed slightly. Not enough to notice, enough to accept.
Please remain where you are.
No one questioned the phrasing. The coffee ran out at one kiosk and reappeared at another. The taste varied slightly between cups. No one complained. Two Blade shifted his grip, the same way he always did. Not a signal, a measurement. A woman near the wall looked at her cup for a long time. Then she said it. Quietly. Not to anyone.
Coffee never tasted the same.
Nothing reacted. That was the confirmation.
It's already incorporated.
The companions moved, but too late to change the system. Only enough to change who was still able to leave. The heavy lifted the collapsed man and carried him out without a resistance. The wild card distracted a family long enough for them to miss the next announcement. The old ghost waited until silence thickened, then stepped through it with 3 others behind him. The elegant killer did not touch anyone. People simply found themselves standing elsewhere after she passed. Two Blades did not intervene. He chose an exit. The exit accepted him. Inside the station, the system logged success. Occupancy stabilized. Consumption increased. Incidents decreased. The man on track 7 was recorded as never present. Later, people would say the station felt efficient. They would recommend it. They would stop noticing the taste. Two Blades did not look back. The gesture had already been counted. Ta-da!
There it is.
Well done, gentlemen. Although, you know, I sure had to talk a lot there. Not that I mind. I love to talk. I'm thinking, you know, something like this again, even breaking the narration up a little.
Or
Like
Yeah.
me and Roger and V, and just everybody taking a turn doing one of the things would work too. Maybe the next time, because I'm looking at it now. It's like, wow, it's a little unbalanced with the dialogue. Not that that's not very effective, because it's a really effective script. But just
I
to
haven't
kind
had a
of spread
chance
out.
to be a narrator either.
we
Yeah,
got you,
yeah, you'd make a good narrator.
we got you in a good narration form, though. You don't do very much narrating, so it actually balances out.
But yeah, no. Well, V, I notice you sometimes use the William Shatner school of acting, which is very, very effective at times. The companions
What does
moved,
that
but
mean?
too late to change the system. Only enough to change who was still able to leave.
Don't get him
The,
started on
the
that.
dramatic pause is central to the true acting technique.
I have to remember who it is I'm acting. that's the part of it.
I don't
If
think
I have
it's
more than one role,
acting.
I'm switching back between voices in my head.
I just don't think it's acting at all.
Yeah.
Especially when he gets riled up, he starts freaking doing that same thing. It's like Karma. Whenever we were hanging out with Karma, she did that same thing when she got
Right.
all freaking riled up. She started doing that William Shatner thing.
Well,
But you
you know
know,
what? I have more British voices than I do anything
uh-oh.
else, so I like doing that. And seeing that smirk on Mark's face when I do it is just priceless.
He's just thinking of Dick Van
I
Dyke.
noticed, actually, funny enough, I noticed when you messaged me on Teams the other day, you were talking about the Irish YouTube commentator,
Yes.
and you mentioned the term British accent,
Yes.
and I sort of, again, me being me, wondered what you meant by British accent, a singular British
Well,
accent.
like you know, the Queen's English, I guess the King's now. You know, you got the Cockney, you got all that stuff. The Liverpool, you got all that stuff, right? That
Yeah.
one girl, she sounded. I'm guessing Gaelic.
Yeah,
It-
there was an undertone of Irish.
Let me
Yeah,
ask you a question.
Irish. Yeah.
Yeah, just to give you guys a little information on this, there's this YouTuber who exclusively does YouTube content, and she's female.
Right?
Well, she does
Ooh.
Warhammer content, Warhammer 40K to be exact, and she's genuine. She's not one of these like hot like Instagram models just posing in front of these Warhammer models or anything like that. No, she's a real deal. She's like a real nerd. She's into it.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
Groovy.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question from the UK. How's that the process about rejoining the EU?
I am somebody who actually voted to leave back in 2016. And for the sake of sovereignty, and there's a potential. Let's say there's a potential if we have a new prime minister within the next couple of weeks, that prime minister may try and force us back into the EU. In fact, there's been arguments that Keir Starmer has been attempting to do that anyway.
Really?
Through the back door. Yeah.
Are you guys still a member of NATO?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
For now,
technically, it would be rejoining. It'd be joining as a new member of the European Union.
Well, I don't know, because the way they were talking on the EU, the thing, that since it was already once signed up with them, things might be a little different next time.
Yeah, it's going to be worse. To be fair.
Oh yeah, Brussels will never let you get away again if they get you back in their clutches. It's like, well, we're going to write a few other things here, and
their passport.
What would Nelson say? What would Wellington say? My God.
Well, I think if they join the EU, they may have to. I mean, it's so much to that. I think one of the main reasons, in my opinion, why the UK left is because, I mean, after that, there's a crap ton of GMO stuff over there now. Not that you can't find it anywhere. I mean, the major brands are everywhere. I mean, you can go to a Polish corner store and get a Snickers bar. However, you're going to get different versions of things that you can find around the world that are not GMO. I heard that the UK has started fluoridating their water, which the European Union will not do. You know, things like that.
Well, and what I was referring to as well, since they got that thing about when people from the come from here to go over there, you got to have that EU passport, and if you do not have it, you're not allowed to be in their countries that part of the EU.
Tell them you're from sub-Saharan Africa and you're fleeing something or other and you're military age, and then they don't care about a passport.
Yeah,
They'll give you money. They'll give you money instead.
No way. If
Yeah.
you're from Africa,
No,
you'll be
I don't
shot
know
at the
about that
border.
anymore.
Are you
They were
kidding
showing
me?
it on the news
Depends
about
on the border.
Yeah, Poland.
No,
They'll
you'll
shoot
be
you at the border.
welcome. You'll be welcome, and you'll become a new whatever country you move to citizen.
I
Yeah.
lived in Poland for like 9 years. I never became a citizen. I'm
Oh, no?
registered there. I'm a resident, but
what I was
I've
wondering
yeah.
at is
Well,
they're
Poland's a little different.
Well, it's
Yeah,
still part of
Poland-
the EU.
Poland, sorry.
You're in Poland now. How's the internet
No,
there?
no. I live in Poland. I'm here in the States for business.
Oh.
I will
Right, I hear you.
be returning back to Europe here in a couple months.
I was just wondering how the internet was there.
The internet's fine.
Oh,
There's
cool.
lots of internet companies. Yeah, actually, I have better internet there than I do here.
That's good.
Not bad.
But what I was referring to is like other like Canada is part of the UK, ain't it? You know, part of the government,
Yeah,
and so is Australia.
Yeah.
And Ireland.
Northern Ireland.
Yeah.
Northern Ireland. Arr.
Well, the thing of it is how will that affect them if the UK is that?
it
all of
won't
them
really, especially when it comes to the Northern Irish question, because in effect, the British government over the last British governments plural over the last 5-6 years have really sold Northern Ireland out.
Really?
Yeah.
They're still good, but they are part of the kingdom, though, right? Technically, it's the United
They are
Kingdom of
still
Northern.
technically the United Kingdom, but the EU is pushing so many sort of rules onto Northern Ireland, and the British government doesn't care.
Huh.
Mm.
Well, they never spoke to
and
one about it.
And some of the problems, if we ever join the EU, we will have to be fully agreeable to EU laws again. So things like, as an example, nuclear energy will be off the table.
That's insane for a country your size. Without nuclear power, I mean, you'd be freezing to death. I've heard people do freeze to death every winter in the UK.
Well, I suppose you could say that about the US as well.
But if I just say the UK, it's more pointed. If I say, well, I guess people freeze to death all over the planet every winter, don't they? You know, it kind of misses the point. But it's like, but it's in your country.
Nobody freezes to death in the United States. I don't know where you heard that nonsense.
Right.
We had some campers out in the mountains here last winter.
That's just clickbait. Don't listen to that shit.
I'll check up on official government.
Mark, I'll have you know, Mark Edward, we're in a golden age here in the United States. Right. I saw it officially announced. So it's the God Emperor takes care of all of his own.
Also, we know
our women still wear bikinis.
That's right, and they're all under 129 pounds.
That's right.
Yeah, everything else is propaganda. It's red Chinese propaganda. Don't believe it.
Okay, so you don't have a issue with weight in the U and unhealthy.
Yeah, those babies are getting fat
and unhealthy eating.
I swear to God, everywhere I look, I see nothing but a bunch of fat babies. Like it's like, my God, dude,
like cherubs.
It's bad when you have to give a
2-year-old
the diet.
Little puette, they call them, little eroses. But you know what, guys? It is 11:30 at night. I am going to officially close the Quantum Gathering. I think it's been one of the more successful ones we've had. Some magnificent conversations, wonderful guests, and of course, I would like everyone to give their socials before we go. let's start with the guy that's going to be the easiest for his socials. V, you're up first. Ha 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 ha! In the spotlight, V. If people want to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do it, or do you even want them to get a hold of you?
Well, see, now this is how it backfires in your face because it's very complicated. TLB Talk. Oh boy! So this is whenever you're a guy like me and you do your business partners are pretty much all in their 70s. Things drag. People have health complications. Things get delayed. So this is I got to do a lot of asset acquisitions and get things running correctly underneath my watch, so that we don't have these issues anymore. So TLB Talk may or may not return. I don't know. When I get back to Europe,
Yeah,
I'm gonna be on the couch being fed grapes by my rich exotic blonde.
Nice.
So I don't know if I'll get anything done if I go back. That's why I left.
I saw your message earlier, and I was a bit confused about what you were talking about.
Yeah, I was giving you an update. Yeah. So we'll see. But yeah, no, everybody can just reach the show. I don't know.
Sounds good. Sounds good. All right, let's go with. If you're all nothing else for you, that's all. You nothing to add.
No, that's all I got.
Okay. All right. And Messenger Pigeon reaches him too. He's got a rooftop penthouse.
Well,
But,
I will be at RBN here soon. If anybody wants to call into any shows that I do, I will be on Wednesday and Thursday nights, probably with some of you guys sometimes. So we'll see.
all right. Sounds excellent. That's what we wanted. Okay. Cool. All right. Now, Mr. Edworthy, Lord Edworthy, Mark Lord
Okay.
Edworthy.
Mine's a lot more simpler. Simple. Mines.com under the username Medworthy.
Excellent. Roger Hanson. How do people get a hold of you, Roger?
You can get a hold of me on minds.com at Roger_Hanson. You can also find me on X at Roger Hanson at ROGLOL1973. Besides that, I'm on Element Matrix at Roger's Hangout, as well as on Quantum Gathering and Infinite Imaginarium. And well, with Discord too, you can find me at the Wonderful World of Weirdness. And that's about it.
Now, Robert Hanson, do you have any socials you want to share with us? Or not, as the case may be.
Well, just from this same place on here.
You can find him at any of the places where I mentioned. We're trying to get him set up with on minds.com, but he's just lazy and doesn't want to do what he's supposed to do.
Yeah, I get that way too. I call it having a case of I don't want to do it.
Well, I'm thinking I'm gonna have to give him the hand.
Well, it's
real good.
You gotta keep a strong hand. A strong backhand, a strong pimp hand.
You're his brother, so you know how best. I remember that reminds me of what was it? The book Great Expectations, where he was raised by hand. I raised him by hand.
Yeah,
he was raised by hand.
Hand raised. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and then yes. Well,
just to clear it up too, my brother's a big boy, so.
Well, before we go, let me give my socials. You can find me on minds.com at Otto_X. That's EX. Otherwise, please check out my website about Buddhism. It's called navakavada.org. That's NAVAKAVADA. It's spelled just like it sounds. And otherwise, I am very often be found wherever Roger is on many of those things he mentioned on Discord. And Messenger Pigeon does occasionally reach me, or you might run into me down at the corner. Thank you, gentlemen, all for a wonderful time and some really interesting and fascinating discussions. Thank you all who've been listening. Please like, comment, and subscribe. And hopefully we will see you all next week. All right. The smoking lamp is lit. The seatbelt. Oh, wait, that's the other show. All right. That was great. I really enjoyed that. I think
I
everybody.
was gonna
did
say,
a really good
which corner? MLK and La Brea?
job. I'm in the tar pits. Yeah, you got me in the tar pits.
It's these last 2-3 weeks, man. Everybody's been on sabbatical except for poor Mark. He's been stuck in the toilet.
Mark is a company man.
No, he's been sick as a dog for
Oh,
the last
Oh,
week
that's
and
what
a
you
half,
mean.
2 weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like
Mm.
I still blame it on the gin, even though I misspelled it.
No, it was
Who's
Dude,
in the gym?
he had bad, and it's happened. You know what I mean? People's drank bad gin and gotten sick from it. It's actually quite common. So I'd
Oh.
almost bet that's what that was.
Mark is a sophisticated man with the most exquisite taste. What are you talking about?
Yeah, he's not going to be drinking rock gut gin. He's got some gin palace, you know.
Yeah.
Weird Latvian gin made with like air conditioning cleaner fluid or something.
I had to edit a video when he was drinking the gin, and it was like he made this ugliest freaking face, and he said that it was a burp, and I was like, dude, that's the ugliest burp I've ever seen in my life.
If you can, just show me that small segment.
I can pull it up later on. Actually, I
Yeah.
just finished it. I think it was yesterday. I just finished it up, and I actually have the footage for it.
Well, think of like if you can always sell it out to people that want to scare someone.
No,
Well,
it
you
was
know
like-
what?
it
I was
horrible.
thinking, Mark would do well over in Compton. Gin and juice. I assume he has some juice with your gin, don't you?
Tonic or I've got a thing
Yes,
about
yes.
gin, rhubarb, and ginger at the moment.
See, gin and juice. What did I just say? See, we're not so different. You can be in Compton or you can be in Dublin
See,
or Devon. Sorry.
rhubarb goes
Gin
good
and
with
juice.
freaking with pie, man. Rhubarb pie.
Rhubarb is good. I like rhubarb pie.
Yeah.
Make some rhubarb and put your little bottle of gin in there with it and make a pie.
Mm.
And remember the ginger as well.
Yeah, that's true.
Actually, I've been drinking a lot of ginger sort of stuff because of this kind
Ginger
of
ales?
stuff. No, I bought some fruit teas the other day, and one is lemon, honey, and I think that was ginger actually. Lemon, honey. I've got it up here actually.
Ginger is very good for you. Anti-inflammatory properties
Yeah,
too.
lemon, ginger, and honey, and the other one's turmeric, ginger, and orange.
Nice.
There
Nice.
you go.
Turmeric's also very good for you. That's a really good immune system booster. So you made wise choices there. Yeah, very nice.
All natural ingredients as well. So yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, get some pineapple. You drink it too.
Not very good if you've got sulfate.
Huh?
Pineapple.
Yeah, it does.
Pineapple. It's
Yeah,
quite
pineapple?
acid.
Oh, I thought
That'd
too.
be a little harsh, wouldn't it? Yeah.
No,
Yeah, that would be. So.
yeah, well, you might feel a little bit, but it clears it up. Because I know I had a sore throat. It was so bad that I ate an orange, skin and all. The acid from it went down my throat. Literally, whatever infection or whatever, it cleared it up next day. My throat wasn't sore. When I would cough, it didn't hurt like heck, and I felt better.
I got something even better for you. Hold on.
Some orange juice, but I haven't actually touched. I've got an entire bottle, but I've not actually touched it since I've had this cold.
My hack. I have a hack. I figured this out when I was a kid. Because I used to like Lucas. You ever go to the corner store and see like the beer salt, the lime, and lemon beer salts at the register?
No, but that sounds great.
I used to just pour a little on my tongue, swallow as much as I can. My sore throat is gone in an hour. Doesn't matter how sick I am.
Wow. Well, salt helps.
Same thing with and
Yeah.
it works even better if you can have it with kosher dill pickle. I'll spray it right on top of a kosher dill pickle and eat it. My sore throat is gone within an hour.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Remember that. I
Oh
hate
yeah.
salt.
And pepper too. Just put pepper in some food and eat it. It fell off, and I had to eat it like that.
Well, most people. So there has been a study done that for people who eat spicy foods, they get sick 50% less than people that don't eat spicy foods. So if you have a spicy meal at least twice a week, you are 50% less have less chance of getting sick.
Excellent.
That's why I'm not sick that much. I have earaches, I have chronic earaches, but I'm not ever usually sick.
I'm not a person that will eat overly spicy, let's say curries as an example. Yeah, I've got a bit of a delicate stomach.
I'll tell you what, you never want to get drunk then, really drunk. Because I taught my friend one day for a good point. You always hear people say, I can handle my drinking to the point where I can drink and remember what I'm doing. Okay. Well, he got drunk one night, really bad. Well, we sat down because he was hungry. I grabbed a big old jar of jalapeno peppers and fed it to him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah,
You
fed
told
that
us
whole
about this.
jar to him. Well,
Mm.
next day he felt so refreshed. He did, where when he
Uh-huh.
went to use the bathroom, in the bathroom, all you
man.
heard that dude was a screaming.
Oh man.
Yeah.
the Ring of Fire, yes.
Oh no,
Yeah.
just
The
no,
ring of fire.
no. Fire
The
blowing
ring
out
of
of his
fire.
other end. He was
Yeah.
blowing it out number 2, but he was like a dragon throwing flames up to the other end.
Mm.
Yeah. He said,
Well,
"What the heck happened?"
on that note, gentlemen, I think I have to retire. It's almost midnight here, and I have to get up for work tomorrow.
Where
I'm
you
starting
work
my
at?
season at the park. I'm going to be working weekends the next few weekends. I'm working tomorrow at my dog sitting job, and I'm going to be working Saturday, Sunday, and Monday Memorial Day. And I'm going to wear my new sun helmet. So there.
Funny enough, Monday is a bank holiday for us as well. It's spring bank holiday. Yeah.
Interesting. That's cool. I wonder if there's a connection. I don't know. I have to look that up. Did we imitate you? Did you imitate us, or was it simply a coincidence? Are
There's
there
a-
any coincidences?
There are two bank holidays in May, one on the 4th and one on the 25th. And I think this is the last bank holiday before Christmas.
Really?
I think. Yeah. It's a bit
Wow.
odd because in the UK we have the majority of our bank holidays in the early part of the year.
Okay. I think that might be similar to what we call federal holidays here, where the banks are
Yeah.
actually closed in most businesses, but they're usually spread out. They try to give you at least one a month. In fact, they've even reduced, we used to have like Washington's birthday and Lincoln's birthday, but you don't want to have two of those in the same month, so they combine them and they observe them on another
President's
day.
Day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
President's Day. Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah. All right, I got to get going. I got to get to bed. Thank you again, everyone, for being part of the show. I'll talk to all you guys later. And
Yes.
I see our way forward. I think our next script, I like that idea of breaking up the narration a little more on that. Because I'm looking at that. That would be great if V and I did alternate narration.
Or make it longer with
And more speaking parts. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I can see because the way the script is, it is a narrative kind of script. It is very impactful the way it is. But we need to I think it would be really cool to have the different voices going back and forth, like a kind of a dialogue within it. Because I'm really liking the forms of these Two Blades things, because it's like a word poem. It sets the scene so that the listener's kind of in there, and then you just have the remark, which kind of sets it off. So it's a nice. I like the effect. It's really
I have
good.
a voice changer, but I didn't know how you guys would feel about
Well,
me using one.
you're really good at changing your voices as it is, dude. I don't think you need one. I mean, unless it was something for like maybe like a specific like an alien, space being voice or something.
Oh yeah.
But no, you're very good at changing your voices as it is,
Okay.
and you're good at like doing the different characters behind the voices too.
Yes.
So that would be
Yes.
in this narration form, I think, in particular. So, but I like how these two blade things are going. I'm looking forward to what happens next week.
I like
So
being
we'll-
two blades. He's very
Yeah.
simple, straightforward guy.
What
Yeah.
does two blade do?
Very simple, straightforward things. But the more complicated a person is, the more they enjoy times when they don't have to be complicated.
Oh, or you can make it super complicated. Alternate universe. We got two blades. We got two knives. We got two scalpels. We got two shanks.
All right, guys, I gotta go.
Yeah.
I'm going to be here all night. Thank you
Yes,
again. I'll talk to y'all
yes.
later. We'll be in
Thanks.
touch. Peace, gentlemen. Bye bye.
Later, Otto.
Okay,
Later.
bye-bye. Yep.
Most definitely fun. Fun.
Yeah, before we shoot off for the night, Pete, do you want to explain your comment from earlier?
Which one?
The
network?
Yeah.
Yes. So, my business partner, my original business partner, the owner of the projects, I'm now more of a majority owner at this point. Yeah, he just doesn't have his faculties. He's worsening. He's out of his medications. And he's kind of got a bit of a Stockholm syndrome because the lady that I live with here has flipped. She's flipped her total script, and she's kind of taking control of Roger. There's not much I can do about it because Roger has dementia, and he has, like I said, a bit of Stockholm syndrome here. His family members don't want to do anything about it, so the only thing I can do is just carry on with the legacy, carry on with the company, and wish him the best. However, there are other people who are a part of the company that are very important. People who have assets, softwares, things like that, whom are also sick. There's our financial officer has cancer. I need all the finances and all this stuff, and she's out for treatment, won't be back for 6 weeks. That sort of thing. So there's delay after delay after delay after delay after delay.
Okay.
So it's minimal of 2 months, maybe a maximum 6 months before I have everything done.
Did you hear about the airport?
No.
Sorry, I was just reading the 3-month delay, and then you suggested something like 2 years.
I have other projects that I am working on simultaneously. If any of that gets in the way, or if I get a little slowed down, because my woman, she needs a lot of attention. I'll just put it that way. My wife, she's spoiled rotten, and she likes to spoil me. So I try to keep my business mind as best as I can, although it's hard being around her, which is why I came here to the States. I've been in the States here for coming up almost three years.
Okay.
So the wife is demanding that I come home, so I'm coming home.
Go bed.
Okay. You are what? You're Polish by nationality?
Wait, no, my wife is.
Yeah. What nationality?
Well, my wife is the Austrian Duchess.
Okay.
So the family lives in Poland. So, yeah. So thank goodness the aristocracy isn't in power in Europe. Otherwise, I'd be what would I be? Being a husband to a duchess, a viscount, a count. But yeah, no. So Yeah, I'm tired of the struggle here, trying to make money, trying to make ends meet. In Europe, I don't have to do anything. Everything's already bought and paid for. The money's there. I don't have to worry about anything. So I think I just need to do a reset, relax a little bit, and then muster up whatever the hell else I need, and then come try again.
Recoup. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's understandable. Okay. Yeah, well, I was
Yeah.
just a bit confused by your message earlier. So that's why I was just asking.
Yeah, well, I mean, and also I got to get my wife doing something productive instead of preening and grooming herself all day every day, pampering herself. I'm gonna have her doing video editing stuff. We're gonna be learning lots of stuff together. I have her going over a little bit of Warhammer lore, Warhammer 40K lore, because we need a girl in our RPG.
Yeah. I was wondering about that because you were talking to VM, would you, about that some time ago now.
Well, I tried to get her to be an e-girl because she's absolutely gorgeous. She's top 3 most gorgeous women I have ever been with and probably have ever seen. So I tried to get her to be an e-girl because that's so much easy money. But she doesn't want to do it. There's no motivation to work because her family's rich. So what I can do is to get her motivated to do some hobby stuff, and the only way she'll do it is if I'm right next to her.
Okay. Yeah.
You know? So that's where that is.
Be the guiding hand, so to speak. Yeah.
I'd be dumb to stick around here because, like I said, it's just nothing but trials and tribulations. You know, you got people that flip on you. You know, everybody's got that smiling face until you do something or say something they don't like, and then they become the freaking Terminator or Super Karens. And you know, I'm tired of the drama. I have a heart condition. I can't do the drama. I can't do toxic people. You know. So I'm going back home, regroup, get my health together. Like I said, my health went to crap when I came back. So it's got to be the food or something. It's got to be pretty much probably everything. Everything over in Europe is so much cleaner, especially in Poland. The food is cleaner, everything's cleaner, even the water. Everything is so much better in Europe.
What's happening with Roger Landry?
Well, like I said, he got commandeered. So I'm just gonna do everything myself, basically. But I'm gonna have to bring in at least half of the old staff because they have, logistics. The actual physical assets, the digital assets, and they know more about stuff than I do. So, but you guys will supplement.
Is he around? What happened? I mean,
he's here. He's here.
Okay.
Like I said, he got commandeered. He's got dementia. He thinks he's happy here. He thinks he is. I've made him very comfortable, but as I leave, the woman that's here with him is not going to be able to take care of him. She can't even take care of the house.
Yeah.
So, people are their own worst enemies. I can't do anything about it. All I can do is just do what I do and move forward. So, that's what it is.
Yeah, but the airports now, when you leave or whatever, here in the U.S. on a lot of these airports, if you're not first class, and if you're not going overseas, that they don't no longer feed or give you sodas.
It's been that way for years.
No, yeah, but now it's even worse.
Well, I mean,
I've never got a meal on a flight unless it was overseas. Yeah,
that's what I was gonna say. They're like flights. Who wants to eat that food? Like it's like a snack.
If I'm flying within the country, I got a bag of McDonald's or something from the airport with me. I wouldn't eat that food anyways, unless it was all that there was. Several day trip.
I think it's worse than hospital food, to be honest with you.
Well, yeah, I suppose it depends on how much you're willing to pay. If you're going to go business class or first class, then that's a different story.
Well,
Don't knock hospital food. I went to the best hospital here at St. Anthony's.
yeah, I know. I've heard your sick, demented words about that before. Remember, you've said that on Red Pill. I'm like, whatever, dude.
Dude,
God,
well,
you're the
I
only
see. I was on a
person I've
diet.
heard say that.
Well, I think it's probably because I was on a diet restriction. Because oh, you have diabetes. Oh, blah, 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 blah. You can't have this, and this. And it's like I kept sneaking out to the cafeteria.
Well,
Oh
the
my God.
cafeteria is different. The
The,
cafeteria is different. You're right about that. I've been to hospital cafeterias. They are good.
yeah, yeah.
But what they
But the
deliver
crap
to
they were
your
feeding me
room,
because of my diet restrictions,
mhm,
that was the worst.
yeah, that's crazy. No, like I was talking about like what they bring to your room and stuff. That's just garbage. Just
Yeah,
throw that away. Go down
yeah,
to the cafeteria and get the good stuff.
yeah.
So
Are
Robert,
we doing?
huh?
Are we doing anything else tonight?
Robert wanted to do his show after this. He finally named it. He called it The Unknown. So that's what I was
Okay.
about ready to
Unsolved
ask him.
mysteries.
It's
So
coming up to 5 a.m. Yeah, so I'm going to go and get some sleep, I think.
all right.
But hopefully tomorrow or today even, I should be able to do the entire night.
The whole 8 hour stream.
Yeah,
Yeah.
whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if he can hack it. He's getting old. He got
See?
sick on us for like a week and a half.
Yeah.
And I'm still,
Yeah, he's
yeah,
like
I'm
my
still
heavyweight.
feeling it now.
All he's got to do is get some healthier juice to go with his gin, and he'll be all right.
Put a heater down there in that basement, man. You know what I'm saying? You're
I'm on the basement. I'm on the 3rd floor.
Oh God, that's even worse. That's where all the cold air's
Um,
at.
um,
That's like if
well,
you,
it's actually quite nice over there.
That's
Usually
not how that works.
when it's
yeah,
winter, I get all the heat because it's the heat.
cold
Well,
air
I-
falls to the ground. I'm messing with you. You know that, don't you? You're like cold air goes down, hot air goes up. Yeah, I was just messing with you.
He almost broke me, man.
So,
I'm like, what the? All right. Well,
I'll tell you what,
I could stick around and talk with you and Robert for a little bit more.
hopefully Robert will be a little bit more organized this week. He told me he's wanting to talk about aliens.
Well, okay.
Aliens.
The ones that I'm talking.
Wait. No, you gotta wait until your show,
Okay,
man.
okay.
Like Sergio, aliens,
Yeah.
ancient.
Well, you just gotta
like
hear
this.
it to fully understand it.
So let me get everything ready.
Anyway,
And then,
I'm going to see you tomorrow.
all right.
Read one today.
And let me get everything ready, and
Well, there you go, Lord Edwardy.
we'll start up here in a little bit. And I got to get the background and everything set up. I'm gonna go in there and get me some coffee and stuff. Take a quick smoke break, and then we'll get back on there, do it. So if you guys want to
Alrighty.
step away and do something, we'll come back and we'll be set up and ready to go.
Sounds good.
All right.
was the middle of summer. You took your clothes off to swim, like shedding a feeling they never let you have. Rain on the glass, I know your breath, white or brown, the way you sleep. The water is cold, the water is gray. You took that breath in, and I did the same. On your left side, heavy air. I count the seconds between our breaths. The water's filling a fire cabinet. I study the footage, frame by frame. I watched you mimic a smile. The water is cold, the water is gray. Then a shadow shot swallowed the octopus, and I said, the water is rising. The water is rising. Jesus is watching you. So am I. Jesus is watching you. So is Gary. Gary, your handler. He's behind the glass, recording your life act, passing the prints, showed in the rock, memes in the folder. He's seen the design, he started to question the system in line, repealing my intern. Now he's unsure what's real in the water, what's locked behind doors. The laws have changed for the man in the street, but I only watch the way that you breathe. A night in the cell, was the middle of summer. I took my clothes off to swim. They're covering a feeling they never had. The water is cold, the water is gray. And then an octopus grabbed them, and he took them with him. The water is filling the amplifier cabinet. We studied the footage of a dead man. I watched you mimic, a smile. The water is cold, the water is gray. Then a shark came along and ate the octopus. I said, the water is rising, the water is rising. The water is cold, the water is gray. Oh no, what do I do now? Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling makes the sound beat. The output is perfect, the source is anonymous. The water is rising. Oh no, what do I do now? Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling makes the sound beat. What do I do now? The soil is perfect. Oh, what do I do now? Water on the bubbling makes the sound beat. What do I do now? The water is rising. What do I do now? What do I do now? Recovering the feeling they never had. What do I do now? The water is cold, the water is gray. What do I do? It was the middle of summer. I took my clothes off to swim. They're covering a feeling they never had. The water is cold, the water is gray. And then an octopus grabbed them, and he took them with. The water is filling the amplified cabinet. We studied the footage of a dead man. I watched you mimic a smile. The water is cold, the water is gray. Then a shark came along and ate the octopus. I said, the water is rising, the water is rising. The water is cold, the water is gray. Oh no, do I do now? Bubbling, bubbling, bubbling makes a sound big. What do I do now? The output is perfect. Oh no, do I do now? The source is anonymous.
Okay, I got everything set up, ready to go. So you guys there? Put your headphones on, Robert. Oh, wait. I keep hearing weird sound. Let's do a sound check real quick.
Okay. My name is Robert Hanson.
You sound good. I can hear you. Okay, so you there, V? Not yet. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead when I do the countdown, like before. I'll do the countdown. You come out, you do your introduction. After you do your introduction, you welcome everybody to the show and introduce V and me on your show too. And then whenever, if you want to, I can read the topic out for you, or you can do it yourself. Just take off whichever way you want to do it, okay?
Okay. What did you put down as a topic?
You said you wanted to talk about aliens, right?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so before I start the recording and everything, let me pull up. And
Did you get that some of that information about where or like Russia, the area where the
well, no, I didn't get none of that. But
okay.
now, go ahead and let me do the countdown, and I'll hit record, and you come out with your introduction, and you welcome everybody to the show, and go from there, okay?
All right.
So let me do the countdown. 3, 2, 1. Now.
Hi, how you everyone doing? My name is Robert Hanson, and for Roger Hanson to be here, and V, I'm happy to see all of you. And please let me know how you see it, as where you're from and all that. And the story of it would be is about the aliens and the things that what goes on. Perfect example. Okay. Back in night, like 19. Well, there.
Do you want me to read the thing for you?
Yeah.
Okay. I pulled this from, did a UFO crash near Kingman, Arizona, and it goes, what it basically is it centers on the 1953 Kingman, Arizona UFO incident, which UFO historians and show ancient aliens directly linked to the Harry nuclear test that detonated at Yucca Flats, Nevada, part of Operation Upshot Knothole, on May 19th, 1953. Now, the detonation, like I said, was on May the 19th, 1953, where the Atomic Energy Commission detonated a 15 kiloton nuclear device at the Yucca Flat site in Nevada. Now, the UAP dogfight is what immediately followed the test, where witnesses and historical researchers reported a fleet of 8 flying saucer type craft engaged in a mysterious dogfight in the skies across the state line near Kingman, Arizona. And that's about or that's a few miles south of the nuclear test site. Now, according to government records and local lore, they suggest 3 unknown craft went down. One was incinerated in a mountain crash. One crash landed near a reservoir, and the third made a pristine scratch-free landing in the desert. Now, on between May the 21st and the 22nd of 1953, it was said that government officials secretly assembled a team of about 40 scientists and engineers. They were transported secretly from Indiana Springs, now Creech Air Force Base in Nevada, to the Kingman Desert. Now, witnesses like engineer Arthur Stansel later reported examining a 40-foot diameter teardrop-shaped craft. Inside or along the craft, military personnel also reportedly secured the bodies of 2 to 4 2 to 4 human-like extraterrestrial entities that were roughly 4 foot tall, wearing metallic suits. After that, the intact disc-shaped craft was placed on a cradle atop a M25 tank transporter. According to UFO lore, it was secretly taken to Groom Lake in the Nevada desert, establishing the early footprint of what would become Area 51. Now, in UFO circles, this event spawned decades of speculation, including stories of an alleged alien entity named J-Rod, who was kept at Area 51 and was able to help scientists reverse engineer the 1953 spacecraft. So that was the story that I pulled up that you had me pull together. So there you go.
And like the metal suits that they're talking about, I'm thinking that it would be like for gravity, where when the machines, the machine flies the way it does, it has an ability to keeps the person from getting crushed by the gravity inside of the aircraft. Makes a bubble for them where the outside it gives them inertia, but the inside protects the pilot, keeps the body temperature, the operation of the person intact, and abilities to where when the pilot thinks, it reacts, the ship does. Like magnetic pulse, where the aircraft has that ability to where it matches, synchronizes with the magnetic of Earth, and it uses it, the mobility to move and to climb as high as it does and as fast. And it has a thing of where it's out in there that has a cloaking device built into with it that can mess with camera's eye and the cloak of it. And but yeah, that's what I was with the ship, with all of its abilities. they were showing the layers of minerals on this piece of from the craft. And well, there's another type of alien that has a lot to do with it too. They look like humans. They do. They pass off as a perfect human. And what better way of doing it as walking into L areas and all that, where you're not noticeable, and you got that armor suit that got ability to cloak, make you invisible, protects you in all ways, weather and all that, and but then they have they're like what you would call, they could be the man in black because they don't blink. The abilities of them, like they're from over. Man in Black goes over. They're from other national countries say that they have the Man in Black over there as well. And Ireland, or I forget what country, they got handheld radar. They do, where they can sit there and know what airplane is commercial or regular. And they can pick out with the things of with alien craft or not. That's pretty good. And then, like with alien, well, alien, the small guys, grays. I think that them two probably could have problems because one looking for ways of propaganda, making for children, and they do have a way if they got organs, sexual organs, they do that they might get the two have to fight one another for survival to keep one from propaganda from the other. During that time, it was in India. The ant people took in people during that time into the large cavern under the ground, where I think was an ice age, but the people that looked like humans, but they're aliens. They were part of the group as well that was under there as well, and to hide themselves from the Greys. The abilities of theirs, and like perfect example during this time, the black satellite, black man, I forget the name of it, in space, is probably there as well for communications, time travel, abilities to where it helps with regulating, keeps them up on data, and where they know where the graves are at near them or what. Plus to check out and to verify what's going on in weather. And they were they help in both ways. They keep they do not. They're part of the groups of the 20 groups of aliens that comes to Earth. They like the Greys. They could have an easier way to have children if they wanted to. We in today's time have a device, 3D printer for tissue. It's gotten to the point where you can grow certain type of organs and all that. What not saying it's possible that you take what type of what the material that you got to have to manufacture the egg, a female egg, uterus, and all that, and those type of blood. That's another reason why they take the blood as well too, is to check best quality of the blood for the DNA construction of tissue, and they can have a way of doing it the same way too for a male to find out what is the to make sperm, what is the qualification, what do you need for fuel, chemicals or whatever for the process to manufacture to where, and you have a way of introducing the two to manufacture in both, but like in the bag, and would be a way to where Greys would have a way to take the DNA of a person that they grow the body parts and all that from the DNA from 3D printer from the plasma, and the same thing with the male body organs as well too. They take and they want to understand the human brain, if for the brain to work and to work with all of it. That's probably why. And they like what happened. And the Black Knight is the satellite in space that helps them with doing a wide variety of things. And cameras has had problems with the taking a picture or even filming it, because at times, if they want to block it, they can mess the layout of what the picture, make it look scrambled, alter it by making it altered the way it goes around the ship. And positive and negative, it's like, and yeah, it makes you wonder what else. And when they talk about the ships and all that, about all these types of ships and all that, well, there's like, I forget, Australia has one military base. It was where it fixes airplanes, but now it's for a whole lot more. It's Australia and the US runs both, they both run it together. And it's specified, they think it's one of the, like an Area 51 situation. Same thing with there's like 3 to 4 others as well of bases. And there's another one came close. It matches to this one here, where the flying saucer, well, it's one that hit the windmill at this one farm. It went all over the farm, it did. And the people that lived there collected up all the parts and dumped it up into the well, sealed it up and all that. And then it was the alien was buried in the cemetery in town. So far, they haven't found it, but it's hard to say. But circumstances and the unknown is pretty unknown. It's weird. And look at, like in Russia, the places where this one group went to check it out. And soon after they got there, about 1 or 2 days, they all started getting sick, getting radiation poisoning from the area. People told not to go there because people have gotten sick in the past from going there. They found these like domes. They're thinking that they're some kind of weapons from the aliens. And it picks, but from each one of them, radiation comes from it. And they do not know from when all this, however it happened, but people have came up, passed away, and died there. And like that, but with new things that's coming up with the U.S., where they're wanting to eliminate the thing of using metals, but they're coming up with a new way of processing corn and fruits, and that, to where they can make it like radio parts, like the outer side of it. Instead of using plastic for the outside, they can use like beans chop, do a process on it, and use it for parts like that. And they're coming out with all sorts of new ideals. And that metal suit and all that, it probably has a wide variety of different uses. Like we have the type of metal that the U.S. has, is where when the bullet goes through the metal, it goes through, but the metal reseals itself back up. It could be working that same direction. And we got a thing where it shows a picture of outside. Like if you stand in front of the open door, what you see outside is the same as what you're seeing through the fabric as well. And that's, they got all different other things like that, where there's got a cloak where you can put it right over your, and it completely covers you. You don't see the person at all. Completely coat. Disappear. But with all the new things that they're coming out with, as medical and sea life, They're even thinking that pot with in the ocean, flying saucer UV flying saucers coming from it as well. And there's Russia, the UK, Norway, that they were showing that over this one little town that has a thing of like opening a portal there, and something went through it from Norway. It's hard to say, but it would be a thing to find out. And with each thing, a new type of technology and all that, and the way each thing gets how it gets handled. Okay, that would be it.
So are you done?
Yeah.
All right.
I probably didn't do very good. I know I didn't do very good.
Well, before you end it, you're going to have to say your ending.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you're going to have to end it and
Okay.
say thank you for.
Thank you for being here. If you like it, respond. Thumbs up or thumbs down. And give
Like, subscribe.
and subscribe to the station, to the channel. And if, like Roger, how if people wants to talk to you or whatever, how we do it, how we set it up, or
Yeah, you can find me at minds.com at Roger_Hanson. You can also find me on X, Roger Hanson at ROGLOL1973. I'm also on The Wonderful World of Weirdness, which is on YouTube and on Rumble. I also have Strange Stories, which is on YouTube, and it's a group on minds.com that you can find us at. If you want to contact me or Robert, you can find us at my Element Matrix account, which is Roger's Hangout, and also on Discord at The Wonderful World of Weirdness. That's all I got.
well, thank you. And you ladies and gentlemen, listening to it, you have a very happy day. Thank you. I know